Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Gamers of Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony Chesson, and joining me fresh from Vault 111, it's the other Spark on the pod, it's Darren Withen.
Hello, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. And joining the Sparks again, he must be a madman, it's the beard-tastic James Thomas.
Hello, how are you both doing?
Good, awesome. How has your week been?
Mainly Fallout related. I think you talk about Darren and Vault 111, but I too have been deep in the wasteland. Even took a day off yesterday to make sure I was fully immersed in the wonder that is Fallout 4.
Do you know what? I was on the way to Manchester yesterday and I was incredibly jealous of you and and also your brother as well, wasn't it? Both of you were like off enjoying the wonders of Fallout 4 and I was there on a train going the wrong way. I was going away from home and I was incredibly jealous.
Oh, I was just taunting you with screenshots every now and again, sorry. Sorry.
But it's a good thing to do, you know. It's kind of, I normally do that for like Gears of War, Halo, you know, those big games. You know, take the day off so you can just enjoy it and get kind of immersed, don't you, in the social media element of it as well.
Yeah, I think it's a twofold thing. One, it's nice being with that zeitgeist where you see everyone enjoying it at the same time. But equally, I find with games like Fallout 4, I need to get in deep very early on to get hooked. Because I got Witcher 3 earlier in the year, and just because of work and how busy we were earlier on, I only managed to do Witcher 3 at like lunchtime, so like an hour here, an hour there. So never really got past that opening area, and I was a bit worried Fallout 4 might fall into the same thing if I got distracted. So booked the day off. I'm 8 hours in, and now I just can't stop thinking about it. I've got plans for for the little village that I'm building back at the starting grounds, what castles and things to build there. I've got little things marked on my map that I want to go off and explore. It's one of those games that is very quickly taking over my waking conscious at this point in time.
See, that's when you know you've got a good game, isn't it? Because that's when it starts doing that. When you're not playing the game, you're thinking about the game, and I always find that is, you know, the kind of the traits of a good game.
Yes. Because have you started playing it as well, Darren?
Yeah, I started on it last night, so I haven't played much. I think I'm about a couple of hours, 3 hours in. So I've done a reasonable portion, and yeah, it's good. It's good. I like what you say about not being able to play big games like this piecemeal, because I'm exactly the same. I need to play them enough so that it gets itself under my skin, because it is easy to get distracted with other games, especially when there's so many surrounding us all the time and so many distractions out there. And you know, it's almost as if you've got to put in the effort to get hooked in a way. But yeah, I love it when you're away from the game and you're thinking about it. I mean, I'm not there yet with Fallout, but I've got an inkling that I will get there, because it just felt very good. It was like a welcome home thing. I just sort of, even though it's been 5 years or so since Fallout 3, it just felt very natural to just ease back in. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I haven't got to the building stage yet. I don't know if that just gets introduced as a tutorial, but I'm quite early on in it. I've just left. I've been past the is it the Red Sky petrol station?
The Red Rocket.
Red Rocket. Yeah. So I've just gone past there and went to Concord, and I thought, right, I'll just leave it there for now, and then I'm going to carry on after the podcast and get some decent time in with it. Yeah.
That's good. I've known people who haven't even left Sanctuary, your first little village. They've been so obsessed with just exploring and then coming back to base, exploring and then coming back to base. So the fact you've broken out makes it seem like you're going to be a bit more of an explorer than a home bird. Yeah,
it was tempting to just sort of just pillage and rifle every single derelict house in the area. And it's almost tempting even at the start. I don't know, because I've only played it once, I don't know if it gives you the option to just sort of frolic around in the area before you go in the vault. I don't know if it would allow that, because it's tempting just to start exploring and things. I mean, I took ages just looking around the house, you know, looking in every single corner and cupboard and things like that. But yeah, I just thought, well, I've got to I need something to talk about. I can't just say, you know, it's like, oh well, I looked at all these cabinets. I did find a captain's cap. Have any of you guys come across the captain's cap? It was in Sanctuary. Found it in a shifty cabinet. It's like a captain's sort of seafaring hat. So I popped that on. It has no good traits, by the way. It doesn't give you any resistance to anything, but I popped it on nevertheless, and it'll look like.
But does it look good?
It looks cool, man.
Does it look jaunty? Is that's kind of
yeah? I wanted the jaunty angle option, but it didn't have it. But it is very sort of Aaron Spelling, like, as if I'm on the Love Boat with my fine hat.
That's it. You've got to take the Wasteland in style, because the first outfit I found, apart from the jumpsuit from the vault, was a tuxedo.
Oh wow!
So now every time I'm back at base and constructing the fort, you're out in the wastelands, your armour must get a bit hot and sweaty. So take that off, put a tux on, and then direct my minions with an air of style.
Absolutely,
it's a grace and kind of just there with that tuxedo. But Darren, when I was when we were talking about kind of your week and Fallout, maybe you should just backtrack just a little bit, because I think we saw on Twitter kind of you had a bit of a rough week with Fallout, but I guess the spoiler alert, it ended well, but you had a bit of fun and games, didn't you, with your special edition?
Yeah, I did. You know something? It's hard to go back. Are you ready to go back?
You just don't want to talk about it, do you?
No, I swear, man. It's like, it'd be easy just to. It's sort of ruined my future hype ometer. I don't think I'll ever get excited for a special edition again. Or order
taking you back. I'm making you relive this pain, all for the podcast.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be ordering anything from Game anyway. It's just a complete mire of ineptitude from the start. Really, I'll try and sum it up as briefly as possible. And it's not just me that had this issue. Many customers got the rug pulled out of them with this one. Rug pulled out from under them with this one. And so, as you know, and any listeners that have been listening for a while would know, I managed to get myself a secured pre-order for the Pip Boy edition, which took about 3 or 4 hours of clicking on Game's website. That broke on the day that they got the stock in. But I managed to get... I actually had 3 in my basket. I don't know if you remember me saying, and I was thinking of keeping them all. And flogging 2 and making or just because people were selling the pre-order receipts, and that would be quite a difficult position to be in with what has happened, and as I'll get to. So anyway, on Thursday evening at 9:15, I got an email from Game saying basically your bank has refused to pay for the game. We tried to take payment and your bank refused it. This can be for one of the following reasons. It gave a few reasons. It says the bank doesn't tell us what the reason is, so we've cancelled your order. Cheers. And I was like, oh my goodness me. And I was just like, what is this about? And it's like, very good that you get it when you can't ring them because it's out of business hours. So I fired off an email straight away saying, what's going on? Why can't I just pay? Then I came to my senses a bit, rang my bank and said, hello bank, I've been just told that you've been requested some money and refused to pay it, so I just want to find out what's going on, because is there something wrong with my finances that I'm not aware of? To which the bank replied, we have not been asked for any money from anybody. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
I'm surprised the bank didn't reply, you're a grown man, Darren, and you shouldn't be ordering this.
Yeah, well, I don't think I told them what it was. I'm crying, I'm sobbing, and they say, "What is this? What is it? It's so important. It's life and death situation."
I put on my arm, and I put my phone in it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. It's an extra thing for a game, but can you play the game? Could you go and buy just the game? Yes.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So anyway, they said they hadn't been had any requests for any funds at all,
right,
from Game or anyone else. So I was all like, and then so it's kind of in the back of my mind all night, really. And I thought, right, when do they open? 8 o'clock. So I rang them at 8 o'clock on Friday morning, and I rang them a few times about 7:30 to get used to their automated system. I thought I'd ring early and just so that I could try and be ready to get through at 8, because you've got to go through a few 1s and 2s, or it's actually worse than pressing 1s and 2s because you've got to say yes or no or check order status. You've got to actually say it on the phone. I like those even less than I like pressing 1, 2 and 3. And the game automated helpline thing, when it greets you, it's pessimistic. I don't know if they're trying to prepare you for the worst, but the female robot that they've got, it says, hello, welcome to game. And it's like a sad voice. It should be, hi, welcome to game, and it's like, hi. It's as if the robot woman is cheesed off that you've even called hi. It's dead exasperated. An exasperated automated voice. It's ridiculous. So
it's like, what do you want?
Yeah, it is. It's like, hi. You almost think it kind of almost is a real person. You think it could be a real person because you would not expect an automated response to be so exasperated.
It just knows you're calling up to complain. So, oh God, just go on. I'll put you through.
It is. It's like that. It's like, not you again.
You again.
Welcome to game again. So anyway, I rang up and I got through, and I spoke to somebody at 8:05 a.m. on Friday. And the guy said, oh, well, you can't, well, that's it. It's been cancelled. We can't get you another one. And I was like, well, that's pretty bad. I went for the calm approach and the reasonable approach rather than the angry approach. And I just said, well, I'm not really happy with that because it took me like 4 hours to secure one of these. Time is very valuable. I can't believe I've wasted my time doing that. And you haven't given me a chance to pay. You've just cancelled it. I don't think that's right. And it's a deposit item as well, so you've secured it with a deposit. Because their website crashed, they failed to take a deposit off me, but most people paid £20. For some reason, they didn't bill me for that. So I said, it's a bit ridiculous, really. I want the item. I secured the item. I pre-ordered it ages ago, and he said, let me see what I can do. So I think the first thing that they'd been told was just to try and get if somebody will just accept it, just leave them without it.
Just brush him off.
Yeah. So I thought, let's be a bit assertive and a bit persistent. And he went, hold on a minute. And then he's like, oh, right, yeah, well, I probably will be able to get you one. So, first thing that they did was try not to help, but to discourage and to, fob me off. So then he went off for a minute and he came back. And he was a really nice guy, actually. Everybody I spoke to, which was, I think, 2 or 3 people, were really nice. I'll say that they were really nice, even when they were fobbing me off. They were very nice. They sort of, shoot you in the back with a smile on the face. And then he came back and he said, "Right, okay, well, yeah, I can probably get you one. I can't guarantee it. I could probably get you one, but what will have to happen is you can't pay for it now. You need to be called back on a secure line, like CTU or something. We need to call you, so it's a secure line." And then you can pay for it, and then we can ship it, and you probably won't get it on release date. And I was just mortified. I was like, well, that's not very good, etc. And he said, well, that's all there is. And I went, okay, thanks a lot for at least keep getting me a copy. Maybe that's why the first thing was that they said they couldn't get it for me, because it's then when you're missing release date, you're actually not going to go mad because at least you're getting it. Maybe that's the tactic, I don't know. So anyway, he said, right, so someone will call you back sometime. He said, probably Monday. And I said, Monday? I said, I'll never get it if it's on Monday. And he said, it's the best I can do. And we had a little chat, and I said, I reasoned to his better nature. I appealed to his better nature. And he was like, I'll do my best, but I can't guarantee anything. And that was as far as I could go with that guy. So I put the phone down, and it was about 8:15. And I thought, all right, I've done what I can. So after that, sort of later on in the day, I looked on, I don't know, Twitter or Facebook. I think it was you, Antony, actually, and you said, have you seen the Twitter feed for Game? Was that you?
Yeah, it was. It was the Twitter feed, and also Kotaku as well kind of broke a story that multiple people were having the same problem. I think there was someone from Peter Molyneux's company,
that's
22
right.
Cans, who noticed it and then kind of started tweeting about it.
Yeah, that's right. And MCV picked up his little tweet and wrote about it. They featured it. And that was the link that you sent me, actually. And so I started looking on the At Game Digital feed, and it was just completely swamped with people going mad that they had their order cancelled for the Pip Boy edition. And then loads more people had been told that the bank refused payment, or PayPal had refused payment. All different banks had refused payment. And I was thinking, because I thought it was just me at first. I'd just been unlucky that my bank had, for some reason, something had happened, and I was like, this can't be my bank. It can't be my bank and this person's bank and somebody's PayPal and somebody's Visa and somebody's, MasterCard or whatever. This is just starting to stink. So I started to get worried then. I was like, oh my goodness, if everybody's having problems, maybe this guy just palmed me off this morning and didn't really mean it. Oh no, I'm going to have to ring him or get in touch with him just to make sure. So I just wanted to touch base with Game then and see make sure a note had been taken about the conversation in the morning. So at that point, I thought, right, I'll just get hold of Game. So I rang Game's number, and basically their number was it was just a dead tone when you rang it. I couldn't even get through to the exasperated automated voice. It was just like
she'd given up by that point.
She'd given up. She slammed the phone down. So you rang up Game's number, and it was like, dang.
You can imagine someone at Game just pulling the phone out of the wall.
It was as if they had
cowering under the desk.
So yeah, their infrastructure couldn't handle the complaints by the look of it. The number of lines couldn't handle the amount of complaints that were being phoned through. So I tried online chat. To be fair, I tried online chat first because I prefer that because you get a transcript. That was just dead, so that never worked, and you couldn't phone them. So you just couldn't get through. And basically the Twitter feed was pretty much the only way in, and everybody was just going mad on there. So I touched base and reached out to a few people on the Twitter feed that were having problems and just asked them what their situation was, and it was the same as mine. And then I saw reports on, as you say, Kotaku, Eurogamer, and other sites saying basically, the order for the Pip Boy edition's gone completely belly up, and it had, and nobody could get through. And this lasted basically all weekend. I abandoned hope on the Friday. I thought, I haven't got the time to sit by the phone all day ringing. So I just thought, oh, well, what will be, will be. And I just left it. And then I did get, I think I got an email. I don't know. I've had about like 7 emails from them. I got a phone call. That's it. I got a phone call, I think, on Friday afternoon from the guy I spoke to in the morning, actually, that I was amazed by. And he said, yeah, just to let you know, we've secured you one. Someone will be calling you back. You're on the callback list. And I'd read about the callback list in these reports that said, lucky people who'd actually managed to get through were on a callback list, and Game are working through it. And I said, well, what does that mean? Are you open at the weekend? And he said, yeah, they'll be calling people back all weekend. So I was like, right. Good. Yeah, that was really good. I think they extended their hours to do that, which is pretty good of them. So I then just went about my business, and by Monday, I decided that it wasn't happening for me. I tried a few times intermittently to try the online chat. It was all the same all weekend. Even on Monday when I tried, and the phone was the same. It was still I got the automated system, and then when it handed you over to a person, it just cut me off. It just cut you off. And then on Monday evening, about 5 o'clock, I got a call from the callback team, from the payments team. It took me completely by surprise. I was at my parents' for dinner, and I'd left my wallet at home, which was really bad because I needed my card. And this is the weird thing as well, because I said to the guy when I first called, I said, okay, you couldn't take payment from that card. Can't you just, and this isn't a secure line or whatever, can't you just, and I'd added a second card on the website as soon as I'd seen this. I said, I've added a second card, that's on the website, can you not just take payment from that? And he was like, no, we can't. It needs to be done in this method. And I didn't understand why. So they couldn't, even if you added an extra card or whatever, or you'd sorted out the problem on your card, if you even had one, which I don't think many people, if any, had, they still couldn't take money from the card, from the details that they had on your account on the website, which is really strange. It had to be a personal, a sort of face-to-face thing, if you like, or a phone call. It had to be a live phone call. So I got that call on Monday, and they were like, do you still want it? And something, I sort of was, I should have said no. I was umming and ahhing because I was sick of it, and I nearly said no, but then the idiot gamer inside me said, no, you want it. So I was like,
you'll never get another chance.
Yeah, you'll never get another chance, even though they're available at Amazon.fr, and I believe Simply Games have got some in stock, but let's buy this one anyway. So I said yeah, and I paid the money. And then I was like, I won't have Fallout on release date. And I said, can you compensate me for all this trouble that you've caused? And he said, we cannot deal with this. We can only take the payment. You'll have to contact Game Customer Services. I said, you can't contact Game Customer Services because they're swamped because of this issue. And he said, well, I can't comment on that. I don't know anything about that. I can just take your money. So I paid the money anyway. And trying to cut a lot. It's a lot longer story than this. It is abridged, believe it or not. It is abridged, and I received it. I got it on launch day. They actually managed to get it me yesterday. by about midday.
That's cool. What was it worth it? How is the build quality?
Rubbish. Was it all worth it? No.
But I mean, the heartbreaking thing, I think, throughout your entire story was halfway through that kind of between kind of last Friday and Monday, you received your free bobblehead, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
And I think that was just like extra salt in the wounds when you sent me that picture. Go, look what just arrived, and it was a bobblehead.
Yeah.
So it was.
But that made me think that my Pip Boy was assured.
Yeah. So back to kind of, are you joking? Is it? How is it? How does it feel?
Doesn't feel very nice. Right, okay. Shall I go and get it? I should have it in front of me, you know.
No, it's an audio podcast.
Yeah, I know, but it's just you'll be able to hear the clunk and the click.
You could pretend you're wearing it right now. We wouldn't know any difference.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
You could be talking into it, and we'd be like, "Wow, this is."
Of course,
amazing.
I'm wearing it right now. It's brilliant.
Is it just going to be? Is it going to turn into like some kind of like chopski that you have on the?
It's
shelf
better on the shelf than on the arm. It's better on the shelf than on the arm. It's all right and everything, but okay. Let me think about it. It's kind of cheap. It's very plasticky. Obviously, it's made of plastic. It's going to be plasticky. There's lots of twiddly knobs on it and stuff, but they don't do anything. It has a battery in it, but all that does is fuel 2 little orange lights. It's the clasp thing when it doesn't clasp properly, so it doesn't shut it with a nice clunk. It's a bit like, you know, one of those Grolsch bottles. That kind of that kind of clasp.
Yeah.
So you hook it on the end, and then you just snap it down, and it just snap in and be firm. It isn't. It just drops off. It also, you'd have to be Marcus Phoenix to be able to get your wrist in, so it actually could clamp on. You know, I mean, I'm no muscle man. I've actually got quite thin wrists, but my goodness me, man. I put it on top of me with my fleece on and put it on my wrist, and it's just like the hole is too big, and it's got some Velcro that you can wrap around, but it still sort of swizzles and twizzles around your arm. It's quite, when you put your phone in, it's really tight into the enclosure of the foam that you use to get it into sort of the aperture for the screen. But it's so snug that it holds like the power button down on your phone, so your phone thinks it's being turned off, which you can cancel. But it sort of muffles the sound effects of the Pip Boy as well. If you've got a phone with the speaker, like an iPhone, the speaker's at the bottom. But that's sort of all right. So your phone does fit in it, and you put the app on, and it looks cool, and you can put it on your wrist. But it doesn't sort of stay on your wrist. It doesn't close properly. It's not great, but it comes in. The sort of like the canister box that it comes in is pretty cool.
That did look good. That looked like a proper crate that you find out in the Fallout universe.
Yeah, it's a proper crate, and you sort of open that, and then you lift up the front, and it's there, and it's got a little stand. The stand's really nice, and from a distance, this thing does look good. It's as if, you know, some genius said, we need it to look. All it needs to do is look good on the pictures, because the pictures are going to sell this, because it's a pre-order item. But under close scrutiny, it's not what I hoped it would be. It's a shame. So I went through all this.
I'm surprised you can even look out Fallout. It seems like a disappointment after a disappointment at this point. This has really tested you this week.
It has. It's really been bad. And as I say, when they rang up on Monday and said, "Do you still want it?" I was on the verge of just saying no. And then when I got it, just before I got it, I watched a YouTube video on it. I was thinking, an alarm bell started going off. And I was going to leave it spoiler free, but alarm bells started going off, and I was like, oh no, you know, because it's hit and miss with these collector's editions. And then I opened it, and I was trying my best to be like, oh, this is brilliant. And as the clasp fell off, and as the thing slipped on my arm, and as I couldn't get the phone in, it was just really unwieldy, and it was wobbling about. My dreams were all shattering one by one, and I was trying to grasp some sort of optimism and some sort of, I don't know, some just sort of justification for the money I'd spent, but I was finding it difficult, and I still am. But this is good therapy.
Did you play Fallout? Did your first kind of go of Fallout 4? Were you rocking the Pip Boy?
No, I'd taken it off in exasperation of trying to keep it on my wrist.
Just couldn't look at it. Even
living the dream.
Well, the thing is, right, I was spending ages. It was quite late. I'd been out. I got in at like 9 o'clock at night, and I was faffed about for about an hour or so with the Pip Boy, trying to get it on and trying to get it secure and stuff. And I was like, for goodness sake, I want to play the game. I've spent an hour doing this. This is even worse than when you got to create your character, and that I get not annoyed, but I'm like, when I'm creating a character and I want it, because it's a big thing. You're going to have this character for like 30, 40 hours. It's like I'm like, oh, I want to be quick because I want to play the game, and I was like, this isn't even that. I'm not, this is just I'm wasting my time. So I put it down. I just thought I haven't got time for this, and I think I just started the game and it wouldn't connect because it doesn't connect until you get the Pip Boy in the game. Which I didn't know. And I was just like, I just want to play the game now. So I just put it to the side, got my phone out of it, and put it to the side, started the game, and I started to enjoy the game. But in the back of my mind and in the back of my heart, I knew that I was a little bit unhappy about my purchase of the Pip Boy edition, and there it lingers still.
There's always eBay. There's always eBay.
Yeah, people. The funniest thing I saw, I was watching an unboxing, I think on Outside Xbox, and they opened it up, and there was a little sticker that said "Made in China," which I thought was really ironic for Fallout 4.
Brilliant. The best thing about it was on the crate that says Pip Boy on it, and it's all got the cool, obviously official font and stuff. I didn't know that the Pip of Pip Boy stood for Personal Information Processor. And It says that. Did you guys know already? I didn't know.
No, that's news to me.
All right, I'm the only nerdy one here.
You are. But I was like, oh, that's good, because it says Pip Boy, and above it, in smaller letters, it says Personal Information Processor. And I thought, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that. So, it's not all bad.
Wow. Well, with that, should we get on to kind of what we've been playing, which I think will probably just carry on. James, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've got to wax lyrical about Fallout 4 just a bit more before we move on.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people have compared it to Fallout 3, and it's pretty much feels like Fallout 3, just a bit shinier. But for me, that's a fantastic thing, because I sunk so many hours into Fallout 3 on the 360. I just love the fact that I can carry on where it goes. But you can see they've improved it in areas. The thing that really took me back was they seem to have added a lot of weather effects, which completely took me unawares, because I woke up one morning after having a nap in a sleeping bag in the middle of a dilapidated shed somewhere.
Was that in the game or in real life, James?
James takes his gaming really seriously.
This is role-playing, proper role-playing.
4D.
You look out over the wasteland and there was just mist everywhere. I'd woken up onto a foggy, misty day. It was fantastic. I mean, it looked like a bit like an N64 game at the time, but it added so much atmosphere as you were roaming through the wasteland. And at the time, I found a disused drive-through theatre. And so it was great. You're just walking forward, and this massive screen just looms out of the mist, and then you see these little shacks selling popcorn just as well, just coming out of nowhere. It just added so much atmosphere to it all. I was just tiptoeing around, just fearful for what was going to leap out of it. But then you get radioactive storms and just rain hammering down on you, and it means it feels so much more of a world than Fallout 3's did. It feels like time is moving on and things are happening in it.
Yeah, I think that I was sort of expecting it to look a bit better than it does, but that's not the be all and end all for me at all, because I felt, as I think I said earlier, it felt like a welcome back, and it's like the sheer. I wanted to be in the vault longer as well. Actually, I must say, you came out of the vault a lot quicker. You remember, because in Fallout 3 you were in there so much longer as you sort of grew up and things. I was I mean, I don't want it to be the same, and I'm lucky because I'm in the side of people like yourself, James, I think, and probably you, Antony, where I want more Fallout 3. I'm not like. It's not going to devastate me if it isn't full of new ideas, because I loved Fallout 3, and for all intents and purposes, this is more of the same from what I've read. But that suits me, because if it's more of the same but better, then that's good. But I was expecting them to be, the graphics to look just to be a bit shinier than they are after the games that we've got used to over the past months on the current generation. But having said that, once I stepped out of the vault. And Antony made a point earlier today to me about the outside environments. They do look beautiful. And it's just the way, the hopelessness of the wasteland. Yeah. It's got an atmosphere. And that's more than the graphics. The game has got an atmosphere, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think the weather sort of plays into that, but also the aesthetic they carry through everything. I think the amount of care and attention it's not just a randomly strewn field full of just rocks and what have you. Every area has been made to feel like it has been hit by the apocalypse. There's broken roads, there's just debris everywhere, like rotting trucks and stuff like that. The whole thing just comes together to create a fantastic whole. And you're right, it doesn't look amazing. I think someone said it looks like you remember Fallout 3 to be, which I think is just... It meant that they nailed the aesthetic then, and they're just carrying that on with just more this time round.
Yeah, it gave me the impression that maybe they'd started work on it as a 360 project, and, well, I think it's just sort of the engines... same engine, and they just thought, well, we're confident with what we're providing. The next generation or this generation is going to enable us to do all this with it, bigger area, more expansive environments, and like you say, I haven't seen these dynamic weather effects, and litter it, because even on the small bit I've played, it's littered with stuff. There's stuff everywhere that it's just asking you to come and investigate this and investigate that, and it doesn't feel like filler. It all feels like it's got a purpose. There's so many like workbenches, and it all just seems that things have got a purpose. And like you just said then about what you discovered, I've been reading reports about people just going wandering off, and they're finding little areas with people, NPCs in there, but there's actually, it's not vacuous. There's actually story in there, and every little thing that you're reading or that you're seeing playing out is worth seeing.
Yeah, I've stumbled already across like 3 or 4 little dioramas that you can tell have been set up just to be stumbled across. I think I found, I don't know if the ghouls got them first, but I found a botched robbery at a rail yard. I found in a junkyard... some nomads had just started worshipping a barrel of atomic waste, and they'd got all these special robes and everything. It was fantastic. And then just this tiny little thing, I went into a department store in one of the cities, and for no apparent reason, in the toilets, because you always look for stuff in toilets in games like this, in the toilets, sat on the edge of the porcelain, was a teddy bear wearing glasses, holding up a newspaper reading. It was just tiny little things like that make it the show. There's an attention to detail to really flesh out the world.
That's just incredible. So that was just kind of just there. Did you pick it up, or was it just? Or did you just say, "Excuse me, sir"?
I actually stole the teddy bear's glasses, but that's the first pair of glasses I found for my character. But yes, it's just little things like that make me want to keep looking in every shed, in every building, in every truck, just in case.
Yeah.
Now, am I right in thinking that this is the first time that there is voice for the protagonist in a Fallout game? Is this the first time that you actually speak during a game?
I think so, but I never played New Vegas, so I can't comment on that one.
Because that kind of took me when I started playing it. Last night, that was one of the things that I kind of just felt. It felt different to normal Fallout games, because suddenly I had a voice, and and I was very. Even though the facial animation is a bit rocky in places, you kind of, because you then push, you can see your character, and then you're choosing which thread. And for me, it started feeling like a bit like kind of Mass Effect. Kind of I was it said you could say no or yes or go, and there was all of that sort of stuff. And I started choosing these conversation arcs and conversation trees, and I just felt that felt really fresh for a Fallout game.
Yeah, I felt more involved as well. I think I always do when they are voiced like that, because you start to get to know you've got your personality on the character, but the way they answer, you go, well, I think judging from that, he'd sound better doing this, or she might want to do this. So yeah, I think it helps affect how I play as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I was saying to Darren earlier, we were just kind of chatting about kind of Fallout, because that's kind of all anyone's probably talking about today. But I was saying that I've called my character Steve. I don't know why, I just called him Steve. And when I met Cogsworth, he just said, "Hello, Mr. Steve." So they've obviously kind of taken some names, and they have some normal names which they have just added to the dialogue of the game as well. And that kind of took me back as well, because I just thought it was fantastic. I can't wait to just get back into the game, because I'm similar to Darren. I think I'm still kind of in Sanctuary. I'm still kind of wandering around. I've gone past that red rocket. I've gone to a museum, and it's just fantastic. And I had a quick play before we started recording the podcast, and I forgot about the mechanic in Fallout where you can zoom in and then you can choose the part of the body to take out. Yes, that was it, and I forgot about that. Completely forgot. And then I pressed a button by mistake, and suddenly it kind of zoomed in, and I was like, "Oh yes, I remember this now." And then I was just enjoying it even more.
So, what have you named your character, Darren?
Just Daz. Well, how about you, James?
Gwyneth.
What a beautiful name. Did you pick a man or a lady?
I picked a lady, because I always, as games have got more progressed in terms of graphics, I find it harder and harder to make a character that looks like me. So, like something like Rock Band, I'm quite happy to have quite a cartoony one. But when you get something a bit more realistic, I almost just go the other way and go, well, I can't, so let's just have something that looks completely different. And so I chose the default woman character to start marching with.
Yeah, well, I gave Claire the option. So I was sat there and I was like, I was like, here we are, Claire. We're at the character creation screen. It's like, oh no, it's going to take hours. And I was like, you can have a choice. I said, look, we can be, and I said, look at the way that it gives you the option. I love it because they're in front of the bathroom mirror. And if you pick the female option, she says, hey, let me just have a look in a minute. And she slides in. I love the way that transition happens to select your gender. I thought that was really cool. And I said, look, Claire, you can pick male or female. I said, I'm not bothered, but bear in mind, we're going to have to stare at the back of them for like 30 hours a game. So it's up to you. And I was thinking, I'll go and pick the lady. But she went, she picked the guy. She said, she said, you're always a guy. And I said, I know. I said, I usually just pick a guy. I said, but I don't have to. And she said, no, pick a guy. So I picked a guy and then started going through the hair and the eyes and the stuff. Oh, man. It's weird because if the option's there, I feel obligated that I have to do it.
You have to
go through every option.
You have to go through all of them.
It takes ages, but I don't want to do it, but I have to do it.
That's what I was doing yesterday. I was sitting on the sofa with Nicola going, right, okay, what should we, from each thing, ears, nose, mouth, and then we were just going through, and some of them were just ugly, some of them were abomination of noses, and then we were just going through them and stuff like that. It's kind of almost like a little great mini game at the start, isn't it? It
is indeed, yeah. But I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. In the short time, I started to feel excited. When you just feel, oh wow, I'm really enjoying this. And it's a nice feeling to have. It really is. So I can't wait to play more of it. And I'm looking forward to my however long it's going to be. I think it'll probably be a 30-hour thing for me, I'd imagine.
Well, I don't know. I saw somebody who got an early copy for a review site. It was a chap called Game Over Greggy. He was saying that he's 58 hours and he's just finished the campaign. So he clocked in 58 hours before he finished the campaign. So maybe 30 is a little bit optimistic. Maybe it might be a little bit more. But I mean, I'm interested. What I want to do is I can't wait for like Friday, because then I'm just going to get home from work and I'm just going to play it Friday night. I'm going to stay up as late as I want, and not have to worry about going to work or fighting a cold, and just play this game. Just really kind of jump into it, and really, I guess a bit like you were saying, James, to kind of almost like break the back of the start of it, get that good kind of 5 to 6 hours in.
Yeah, get immersed.
Yes, exactly.
Get well and truly immersed in it. Get there where it gets its hooks into you, and you're just like, yes, this is brilliant, and that's what you want, and that's what we've been looking forward to. I can't wait to get there as well.
And as you're saying, the sound, it sounds amazing as well. I had my headphones on when I was playing it last night, and it's just the wind's rattling around your kind of your dog. You can just kind of, and it's the sound quality is fantastic on the game. I'm really impressed with that as well.
Yeah, I think some of the reviews are being, well, it seems to be a bit divisive. Some reviews are giving it like 7s or 7.5, saying that because it hasn't got any new ideas in it, that's a reason to mark it down. And I sort of think, well, if it's a good game on its own, it's as if like not all games get the same treatment, so there's an expectation from a reviewer, and because it doesn't live up to that, it gets marked down. But there's lots of games that don't have new ideas each iteration, but they're still a good game, and they'll still, well, I suppose it depends on which review you're reading, but they'll still get a good mark. And it's getting 9s. I think it got 9.5 from IGN. I think it got like a 7 from Destructoid. So it seems like it's a bit divisive, and it just depends what you're wanting. If you're expecting, somebody's got their whole heart. I mean, they've had the trailers that have showed the graphics, but if somebody had their whole heart set on it being, like an not an unbelievable, but an amazing step up in with respect to visuals, and loads more bolted on top as well as the story, then they're going to get disappointed. But for me personally, I just want to have a good story in the Fallout universe, and I'm going to be happy with that. And very early on in the Vault, it's given me a good reason to get invested in the plot. That you know what I'm talking about there, and
Yes.
I like that because I didn't like what happened, but I like to think, I want to sort, I'm going to fix this, and it did that very early, and the helplessness of that situation, I was like, that's good the way they did that. So straight away, you've got something, and you're like, well, there's something to fight for here, and so. I don't know. I'm just surprised that I'm surprised it's so divisive. Really,
yeah, that does surprise me. I mean, I haven't really read reviews. I think when I've bought a product, I don't really read the reviews. I will maybe listen if someone's talking about it on a podcast like us, or if someone's tweeting about it. But I think once I've bought that product, once I've already pre-ordered it, I know it's coming. I'm pretty much invested, so I kind of stay away from that sort of stuff. But that's really interesting that it's getting kind of 7s, because I would definitely kind of have it in the kind of the upper 8s, 9s, but 7's still a good game, and I guess I don't really, know Destructoid scale.
Yeah, it is, and it's like I like to see what people think and what people say about games that I'm interested in. So I always look all over the place, and all the news it's been difficult to find news for the podcast because it's all hidden underneath Fallout 4 and Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's like, well, you've got to really sift through that before you get to any other news, because that is the news this week. And it's strange. I think you've got the guys who are elated because it's Fallout, and it's like, well, are you being biased because you just love Fallout so much, or is it that you just, I haven't read the reviews. You see, I've just sort of like scanned them, and the ones that are giving it a lesser mark, it's like that. Is it fair to be so disappointed when it is Fallout? What else did you want?
But I think almost like. I guess we'll get onto Halo 5 shortly, but listening to your comments last week on like the campaign and so, I can see almost like if someone looks at Fallout, they could relate the same style of approach to Fallout, going, well, it wasn't what I expected, it feels the same. So if people are looking for evolution, it's going to be a 7. But actually people like my good self who just want more, give me more. That worked so well last time, please do not change it to mess it up. Just keep on going with what you've got at this point in time. But I do think it's unfair to say that hasn't moved on since then slightly. I mean, I forgive it, the graphics. I've said for ages I would prefer in this generation that the games do more with the processing power than simply give me shinier graphics. I want worlds filled with stuff, and Fallout does that for me. And it's not just the stuff. You've got things like the base building, which I'm starting to explore. There's the fact you can try and build these massive battlements to try and protect a community that you find in Fallout 4. And that just has really opened up a whole load of crafting systems as well, because I love the fact that you can take a gun that you find decent, and rather than chucking it and get a bigger one, you can start modding it and creating a thing. I mean, these might be tiny things, but they give such a good reason to carry on exploring the world, because it's filled with stuff. And on 3, it was a very limited reason why you would collect that stuff. So I think they've been very canny about making a reason for you to get it. Why am I filling my pockets with duct tape? Well, I need some glue for this gun handle. Why am I carrying back every single spare desk fan I can find in the entire wasteland? Well, it's got a spring in it that I need. I think they've actually started moving on by degrees without being an evolution. It's just knocked it on, and it's enough for me. But I do think like the 7s are probably a bit harsh, but I can equally understand it if people are just going, well, I put 80 hours into Fallout 3. I did like 50 in New Vegas. Give me something new.
Yeah. So you'd say it's more of an iterative sequel.
Yes.
But yeah, I love stuff too, and I agree with you there. It's like I'd rather have a great game than just all the money go on visuals and have no thought or less thought goes into the story and the actual dynamics of the actual playing the game itself. And you're right, from what I remember, it's a while ago now, Fallout 3.
7 years.
What I remember, it's 7? Yeah. Oh, crikey. All I did with that stuff, you carried it around, then you sold it, didn't you, for like one bottle cap?
Yep, put it all on the dog or whoever you're with and just cart them to the nearest trader.
Yeah, that was it. And so, that's really good. Oh, and I was going to ask you, actually, because as you know, I'm not very far in, but when you're building up the communities and stuff, do you feel sort of invested and do you sort of, do you feel that you really want to look after the people? Does it make you care for them?
I'm not as far down that quest line / path as I think I could be, because I've seen that I need to be have 2 extra perks to get certain building materials, but it looks like you can build shops, you can build little farms, so I think there's a selfish aspect that if you do that, then you've got a trading hub that you can build up, and I'm sure there's perks and what have you for it as well. So I wouldn't say I'm invested in it yet, I'm just really intrigued and looking forward to building those perks out so I can go back.
That sounds awesome. Like your own little village, a bit Minecrafty. Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Wow, that sounds like it's really going to open up and then just kind of take a lot of time to get a lot of your time, And it is quite funny because you do have games like like Lara Croft is coming out on Friday, and I guess it's one of those games that you just, and Star Wars as well. We've got Star Wars Battlefront, but it seems like this game, it sounds like people were right to kind of run away from this game because it is, as you say, people are clocking in 50, 60 hours, and you really wouldn't want to start playing another game when you have something as deep as this, would you?
No. This is a game that it's like James is saying. You don't want to be distracted from it. You want to. The more you put in, the more you'll get out with a game like this. So for me, this will be my game. So I won't be playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'll play little tiny games. A few minutes in between. It's like before the podcast, I had half an hour to spare. I didn't feel that was enough time for Fallout, so I was like, I can't play Fallout for half an hour because it's the beginning. I just can't do that. I mean, later on, when I know what's going on, it's like, well, I'll have a little. Hopefully, I'll go. I'll just have a little tootle around this area because I just want to gather some stuff, or I just want to build a house or whatever. So I just had a quick go on a little shooty game. But yeah, this will be me from now on. I'll be sort of like Fallout and small games.
I mean, I do have to say, I do like the Pip Boy app that's on the iOS, Android, Windows, iPad. I've used that for like you say, as soon as you pick it up in the game and you can activate it, I've been using it all the time to look at maps, to give me health, to see what I'm carrying and all of that. And I really like it. I think it's great. I love that this generation is bringing those companion apps. It's quite funny now on my iPhone. I do actually have a whole page full of companion apps because there's Halo, there's Destiny, there's Xbox, there's PlayStation, and now there's a Star Wars Battlefront one came out this week, and as well as the Pip Boy as well. So I do like that kind of they're utilising this kind of second screen app, and it seems to work really well in Fallout.
Yeah, I don't like it when they do it as if you feel it's just for the sake of doing it. But the thing I do like about this app is the map feature. That's good, isn't it? It's really cool, and it's like proper real time that it updates as you walk about. But I find just having to take my eyes off the screen to look at it is counterintuitive for me. So I'm using the one on screen.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, because I find it, I don't know, just looking away, it just feels weird. Maybe that's why I don't get on with my Wii U so much.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I had my iPad kind of up on my kind of coffee table where I was playing, and it was just there, and I had it on the main screen showing all of my statistics, and whenever at one point I got ravaged by something and I needed some stim packs, so I just kind of went to there and I clicked on it, and then the character in game just kind of gave himself that stim pack, and I was just like, this is fantastic, because I just clicked on it to see what I could do, and then the guy kind of administered it. Steve administered it.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is fantastic, it's working really well.
And that's cool because it's just got a touch option, hasn't it, for apply stim pack on the app.
Yes.
And you see that's the difference. You've got your coffee table, I haven't got a coffee table, so I'm on my couch, and like for me it's everything's like the iPad or the phone that they're lying down next to me, so it's not as good. But if I had a table like that picture you created, then it's like, yeah, you've got the iPad in front of you stood up, and that's cool because you can just see it there, and it's sort of like just look, you don't really have to take your eyes off the screen, do you? Whereas I've got
if only you could have something on your arm so it was instantly available.
Imagine if somebody thought of something. Imagine like the Pip Boy in game. It's so good to have something on your wrist.
That would be awesome.
And that's the thing, I'm sort of. It brings it all back to me.
Oh no! Quick, I'll get off.
So I'm just using the on screen because you only press red, or crikey circle, and it pops up and. Yeah, I was sort of like, this is good. And the thing is, I was watching the animations as he twiddles everything on the Pip Boy on screen, and it was just reminding me of all the things that twiddle but don't do anything on the
actual Pip Boy.
On the actual Pip Boy, yeah.
So quickly getting Darren off of this, James, what else have you been playing this week?
Halo 5. Halo 5 is the other thing that's been keeping my attention. I finished my legendary solo run at the weekend. Desperately tried to squeeze it in before Fallout came. It's a bit of a tradition now that I feel that I need to do the game justice by doing the legendary run. But not just for the fact I want to get through it at the hardest difficulty setting. But because of that tiny little 2 or 3 second clip that Halo always has at the end of the credits, just like the Marvel films, they tend to have a little tiny teaser right at the end of their credits just to give a hint of where the series is going. So it's about 8 hours worth of punishment just to see that tiny little thing that I could easily look for on YouTube, but it's just not as satisfying if I go down that route.
That's the pride of the gamer, rightly
Yes,
so.
Yes.
Wow, well done, James. I mean, I did it. Had you already done it on Heroic?
Yeah, my brother and I had... actually, we had that day off work as well. We did that on co-op on day one.
Wow, and then you did it on Legendary.
Yeah.
How did you... I did Heroic solo, as you may have heard. I found the 3 Warden Eternals boss...
Dear God.
Incredibly hard. So hard that I nearly turned it off and threw the game in the bin. I was getting that frustrated, but I did do it. But on Legendary, man, how was it?
So, there was a point where I almost threw something. I had to put my controller down and have a step away, and I think I bitched on Twitter about it. And basically a couple of my other gaming friends almost tried to rally round and give me a bit of a pep talk, like, you can do it, you can do it.
That's nice.
So I just had to have a couple of hours off before jumping back in. But I just found it, not trial and error. I knew I had a reasonable tactic, because especially around those areas, there's a lot of things you can hide behind, which means that he can't shoot you and he can't stab you with his giant sword. So it's just like constantly keep moving, constantly keep moving. But my teammates were an utter liability. They're
ridiculous,
This is
aren't
my biggest gripe
Yes.
with single-player Halo 5, is that I just don't think they draw enough aggro, to use the parlance, to make them a viable target so you can then shoot the warden in the back. So I was basically just like merrily dancing around, and these guys were just standing there waiting to get hit with a sword, and that was the most frustrating thing for me, because I'm going, guys, come on, this is the hardest bit, get it together, and they were there just being muppets.
It's you on your own. It's you on your own, really. You know, they don't take anything. It's just single player with them. If you're lucky, they'll revive you.
Because I remember back when my brother and I played through that section in co-op, and it was hard, but it was nowhere near as hard as on your own, because at least you could try and outflank them. You could like go, right, you go left, I'll go right, and like just smack him from either side, and as he turned back and forth, you'd get him. But apart from that, like half hour to, it felt like longer, half hour section that just annoyed me to the nth degree, I really enjoyed it. I think I've finally got over, because originally I didn't like the Prometheans, and I finally got over that. I found them now fun to fight. Not as fun as the Covenant, because I know you, Antony, and Nicola were saying the Covenant are what Halo is. But I think now they've refined what the knights, what the soldiers, and even the dog creatures as well, they've become slightly more refined, slightly more balanced in Halo 5, so they are actually fun to fight by the end of it. I was enjoying taking them on, stealing their weapons, taking them down with their own power, and seeing them explode in a shower of light and metal. I really like that campaign.
Yeah, in Halo 4, I hated the Prometheans like you as well. I thought they were just a pain. They were just frustrating, and they seemed a bit bullet spongy as well. But yeah, I enjoyed fighting them in Halo 5 too. I really did.
I think what added to it for me was the extra abilities the Spartans have got. I think they made Halo 5. I mean, we spoke about Fallout 4, so just only moving on slightly. For me, the fantastic part of Halo 5 was how they brought Master Chief, or in fact all of the Spartans' abilities on, without making it feel too dramatic a shift. It didn't make it feel like Mirror's Edge, but the fact that Master Chief could now like scramble up onto levels, it just gave the whole game a really nice verticality that is something you didn't see before, unless it was for like contrived placement of ladders or ramps. But this way around, you got to scale up onto little buffs and just shoot down or jump up on platforms behind characters and take them by surprise. And then combine that with like the massive wide sections that you get, especially on like the dust planets where you're fighting the Covenant. There were sections that I think were wider than some of the original levels were long. It was superb. So you could have these little pockets of firefights all over the place in just this one open area, and then you could just dance around trying to take on one, then go into another. It's proper sandbox combat, and that's why I utterly love Halo.
Yeah, and the way that you could hover and aim,
yes,
I really like that. And that boost, even though it's only a slight, it's only a slight addition really, but it makes such a difference to be able to change your direction in an instant like that. Yeah, it's cool. I love the combat. Didn't like the campaign.
And the Spartan Charge as well. Spartan Charge.
Yeah.
That was the way I took out. I think in the Prometheans, there's like a new class of Prometheans. It might have been a soldier or something like that, but it was a kind of a red looking guy. And I found that the best way to take those out was just literally, just run and do a Spartan Charge, and then call Nicola to come and get me up because I probably could take it out. But,
Death or glory.
But it's quite funny what you were saying like previously about kind of the teammates. Nicola's now playing it on Legendary because that's kind of what she does, and the language that is coming out of her at the moment. I'm so glad I've got soundproof headphones because all she's doing is just Fred is not her friend at the moment. I tell you, because she's just saying they are useless. They do go down a lot. I think in Legendary as well, don't they? They seem to just chuck themselves in the way of fire.
I always tend to try and use them like extra lives on Legendary. Just like, please stay there, please keep out of trouble, and then please run and get me when I obviously fall down and die. But
because you can direct them, can't you? You can aim at someone and say, go and shoot that person. If you're when you're playing co-op, you have to be either chief or lock, and you can actually just press up, I think, isn't it, on the D-pad, and then you can say, go there, or aim at that guy, and they will go and kind of take out that guy that you've highlighted.
It reminded me initially of Full Spectrum Warrior, if you remember that back on the original Xbox. Because I loved that. I loved the fact that you were playing this character, but equally just moving other soldiers around. So you were just trying to set up the best tactical point of view. And I think Halo 5 almost has that, but it's just... I think it is the aggro. They just don't draw enough aggro to make them viable targets, so you are always being shot at that point.
No, absolutely. That's a good game. That was Full Spectrum Warrior. Wasn't that didn't the army use that for training or something?
I think so. I think they had some tie-in with it.
The tag with that. Yes, because I think that was the time where I was playing like Ghost Recon and games like that. And then they brought out Full Spectrum Warrior. That was awesome.
We did try multiplayer as well, didn't we, Antony, on Sunday night?
Yes.
Yes. Nothing makes you feel old like being schooled by an awful lot of young people, Americans, kids, just shooting us in the face time and time again. I used to think I was quite good at Halo, and I don't know whether it's, I think like you said earlier, Darren, we've had 10 days, I think, when we played that, between the launch and the day we played multiplayer. And my God, some people have got so good so quickly. And there's us just going, it'll be fine. We'll just nip in, have the odd big team battle. It'll be fun. It was a massacre.
It really was.
The thing is, for us guys, for us to get the kind of practice in that some of these guys have got in 10 days would take us a year. To fit in, because you get some guys that they're just so into it, and they've got the time, they've got the luxury of time, and that's what they do, and they sit there and they don't play campaign, they go straight into multiplayer, they love it, and they learn it, and they just know it. I've never gone on a game like that and been the one that's first to learn. Everybody's always brilliant, even when I put it on within an hour of getting the game on launch day. There's always a whole crew just kicking my ass. Maybe I'm just rubbish.
We were playing a mode that was headshot,
SWAT,
wasn't it? It was like you had SWAT, so we were playing SWAT, and I was terrible at that. Thought it was amazing. I was having a good time, kind of. I was having a good time, but I was just so bad at it. I preferred those kind of big team battles, especially when at one point I think I leveled up to about level 5 or 6, and I was then, and we were so desperate because we were losing all the time. We started looking at our cards to see what we had, what we could use, and I managed to unlock a tank, and that was just that was great fun. And I think that's the thing about Halo multiplayer, is that when you lose, it's soul destroying, but the moment you win, you do feel kind of elated by it, and you do just want to jump back in again and continue playing, and if nothing, the banter that was going around between there about 6 of us, James, I think there was, wasn't it? The banter that was flying around with about 6 of us was hilarious, so we were reveling.
But it's always better with friends. It's always better with friends at that point.
It really was, and there was me thinking, I can't wait to talk to people, because we'll be like, go over here, let's go over there, and even when we were doing that and communicating, we were still dying a lot. But it was just quite fun. It was because you and I, Darren, had to go in the afternoon, didn't we, on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, we did. Well. That was good fun. It's good fun.
We were playing Capture the Flag a lot, weren't we? That's an interesting... I was really enjoying Capture the Flag on Halo 5, because you can have the flag, you can have their flag back at your base, but then your flag has to be in your base before that point counts. So that's always... You're then defending while someone else is kind of running off and trying to get our flag back. And that was some real tense moments.
Yeah, it leaves you in a bit of a dilemma, and it's quite intimate on the 4 versus 4 map because it's very small. So yeah, it was kind of fun, wasn't it? Yeah, it was good. It was good. Better than Warzone when we got our asses completely kicked.
Well, exactly. I mean, so that's what I did in the afternoon, and then in the evening, the ass kicking continued.
Let the ass kick commence.
I was just like, oh, here we go again. But it was great fun. And as you're saying, it's quite interesting to see how people are learning the map straight away. They know the vantage points. I think one of the maps we were playing had a thing called a spire in the middle, and people were just running for that. Once you captured that, it was really hard to try and get it back. And it was good fun. I mean, I agree with you, James. I think I definitely kind of want to jump back in because I'm glutton for punishment. But it did leave me worried slightly about Star Wars, because now I know I'm in already because I've already pre-ordered it digitally, so there's no going back. But I just wonder if that's what my nights are going to be. They're just going to be nights upon nights of Star Wars themed ass kicking instead of
end up hating the franchise as it keeps handing your ass to you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't want to just be crying, and I don't want to play Star Wars, but I do. I want to kill an Ewok, but I don't want to go in. I mean, I guess with Star Wars, there's no campaign, but you do have those 2-player survival, wave upon wave that you can kind of make yourself feel better, I guess. So, Darren, what else have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a few, so I'll scurry through this list quickly. Excuse me. So, Halo 5, Fallout 4 we've covered. I've been playing some interesting games that you may or may not have heard of. You've probably heard of this one. The first game I want to quickly mention that I've got back to is Geometry Wars Retro Evolved on the 360.
Wow.
I'm playing it via backwards compatibility mode on my Xbox One, and that was the game that I chose to play in my half an hour before this podcast. And I think I'm going to keep at it because there's one achievement that I haven't got on that game, and that is so hard. I don't know why I do this to myself, but the achievement that I never got is to get 1 million points without losing a life. And it's the only one that I haven't got. And I've sort of set myself that challenge. So I was having a go before, got up to about 350,000, 400,000 without losing a life. I know I've got a lot to do. It's all about the multiplayer, so I'm probably going to try for a week or so at doing that. So Geometry Wars, still as enjoyable as ever. Really love it. Even though I've got Geometry Wars, whatever it is, 3 on PS4, I like this one. Also, I came across a game. Have you guys heard of the quiz game, You Don't Know Jack?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Do you like it or not?
I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
Same here.
Okay, well, it's a party game. I played it ages ago on the PC, and it was quite fun. And people use different areas of the keyboard to be their controller on the PC, so whatever it is to say buzz in or whatever. Anyway, I don't even know how I came across it, but I noticed that I saw an advert for a new version called Jackbox Party Pack. And I thought it was PC only, but then I saw it was out on the consoles. So I was having I had a drink or so on Friday night, and I was like, let's play a quiz game do you remember You Don't Know Jack? It's well cool, let's get it. And I said, it's out on the console, so I had a look for it. First I looked on Xbox One, and it was there. It was £21.99, and you get 5 games. It shows you like as if they're board games, really. You get You Don't Know Jack, you get like a Pictionary game, you get a game where you have to tell a lie and people have to guess if it's a lie or not. There's another game where you've got to say true or false on questions, and there's another word association game. So you get quite a lot of party games there for £21.99. And I thought just before I pull the trigger on the Xbox One, I'll look on the PS4, and it was £9.99 on the PlayStation Store. So I bought it on PS4. And the great thing about it is that I didn't realise when I bought it is that it's a party game, and to play the game you can pair your phone with it.
Yeah.
I never knew this. It's fantastic. So you've got people around. You don't need to have like 8 controllers for an 8-player game. As long as somebody's got a phone, then they can play a touchscreen phone. Then they can play Android or iOS is compatible.
Even Windows Phone. Even me with a Windows Phone managed to play, which I was very pleasantly surprised with. But yeah, I managed to went round to friends a couple of weeks ago, and they pulled this out, and I think it's fantastic because I know SingStar, was it last year or the year before, introduced the fact that your phone.
Oh, you could use the phone as the mic.
Yeah, I think this is the future because like you look at CNITs and in the movies and stuff like that. and all the custom controllers that came that, and
and Buzz.
Yeah, this is the future, because not only is it buttons, there's little drawing games on it, and you can obviously have your secret screen so no one else can see. I think it's superb. I mean, the quality of the games in there vary, but if you've got 8 people around or so, it's absolutely superb laugh as just people start drawing things or quips. It's just a nice little... It's very easy for everyone to get into, which you can't always say about video game party games.
Yeah, and even with the controllers, it was always... Well, it wasn't always, but it could be a big faff with setting them up and everyone like pressing... Like on Buzz, you had to sort of press them in the right sequence so that it went round the room in the right way and stuff. And this, it just works, doesn't it, James? It's really good.
Really good.
And having your secret screen as well, because there's one, it's a little bit like blankety blank, and like it gives you a phrase or a statement, and there's a blank in there, and you write whatever you want, really, whether it be funny, but the idea is to make the other people pick that as an answer. But you've all got your own screen, and everyone's familiar with the keyboard or the keypad on their own phone, so everybody's using the instrument that they're comfortable with to take part in the game, and it's just really good. And the way that you join your phone is you go onto your web browser, you go to jackbox.tv, and the game provides you with a room number, an ID number for the game, and then you put that in on the website. It says what's the ID, and then you give yourself a player name, and then you join, and bang, you're in. It's connected on your home network.
So simple.
It's amazing.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really good. With Christmas coming up as well, that's like that. I might download that because I've got people coming over on Christmas.
It's such a surprise how good it is, and an even bigger surprise how easily it works. And that's brilliant that you played it as well, James, and you can concur with that because it's just fun. You're not going to play it every day, but when you've got people round, it's just dead good. And it's got this thing. It's like one of the games is like 2 to 100 players. It's quite a simple game. It says a question, you say whether it's true or false, and you get points. But because of the nature of the way that you join it, and I think it actually said it on the game, it sort of says, well, right, all you do is you just join it, and if you haven't got 100 people in your house, if you stream it on Twitch, any viewers can join in.
Cool.
Which obviously they can, because they're watching it, and because they can join in by going to the website. You could stream it on Twitch or YouTube, and anybody that's watching, you could have 100 people watching, and everybody could be interacting and playing the game at the same time. And I just thought that was great.
That's really good. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. So Jackbox Party Pack is good, and I got my mum on it the other night, and she did it on her phone, and she was playing it. Once she worked out sort of that every question on You Don't Know Jack is kind of a riddle. She was enjoying it, man. And it's just like, if my mum can do it, anyone can do it.
Like I say, it sounds like it's 50% cheaper at the moment on the PlayStation.
It's $9.99 on the PlayStation 4, which is an absolute bargain. You get 5 games. Yeah, they're not all great, but I'd say 3 of them are pretty good. So I was playing that, and just wanted to mention it because it surprised me how good it was, and the interface just surprised me as well, and it was a very pleasant surprise. And apart from that, I played a game called Undertale, which I'd been hearing more and more about around the internets. Have you heard of Undertale, you guys?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it firsthand.
Well, I thought I was hearing more and more about it, and I thought, I want to see it firsthand because I just hear everything I was hearing about it was positive. It's, believe it or not, it's joint first on Metacritic for PC games with The Witcher. With The Witcher 3.
Wow.
Metacritic isn't the be-all and end-all of marking schemes. It's an idea, though. It's an indicator, isn't it? But yeah, you've got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is on 93, and so is Undertale. So I thought, I've got to have a look at this. Now, I haven't got a gaming PC yet. Listeners will know why. It's because I'm going to buy it when I buy my VR. So I'm waiting. But it runs on a rubbish laptop because it's an old, it's not a graphically demanding game. It's sort of like an 8-bitty type game, and it's an RPG 8-bit game. I've downloaded the demo and had a go on it, and I like it. I think I'm going to buy it. It's only like £10 to buy, and it's basically your character's a young. It can be either a boy or girl. It's a bit androgynous, the character, so you can project onto it the gender that you like. And he's roaming about on top of a mountain, and he falls down into a hole. And this hole is so deep, and it's sort of like really deep in the world, where long ago monsters and humans had a battle, and the monsters lost, and they got banished to the underground, and that's where they lived. And you fell here, and you wake up you come round and you're in this new world underground, and you just start adventuring, and you just use the arrow keys on the PC to move around, and a menu and an action button, really, and you just start adventuring. And it's very, I don't know, it's sort of almost like the adventure, it's like almost like that in a way, but it's got a lot more RPG aspects to it. You come across characters and you chat with them, and apparently you can like kill everything if you want, or you can be completely a complete pacifist if you choose as well, and the whole game will respond to your way of playing it. And cool. I mean, I've only played the demo. I enjoyed it, but I was reading some of the write-ups on Metacritic and on Steam about it, and people are just saying that it's amazing. So one of the Giant Bomb, for instance, says it's a whispered reminder that great games can do more than impress with sheer complexity and breadth. They can also draw us in close to them as to engage with our humanity. So it sounds like it sort of touches you. A delightful and heartfelt game. Not the prettiest game at the ball, but a fantastic, unique take on a classic genre that defies all expectations. And all the reviews are like that.
Because they seem a bit... I wouldn't say it's the prettiest game, but it's got a nice art style to it, doesn't it? It looks quite almost Spectrum-like in the black screens and the colours, the vivid colours that they get drawn in.
It's very stark, and for the type of aesthetic it's going for, it is very beautiful. I think.
Yes,
it's just very nice. You can see they're not, it's just not like Halo or anything. It's just an old style game. It's a retro game, but there's love in there. So I'd recommend having a go. I'm gonna try and make time to play it. I'm going to get it, but it's definitely on my list. I'm definitely going to go through it all, because it's just, the demo has charmed me. You can download the demo for free from the Undertale website, and that, as it explains, the demo isn't the part of the game so much as just a taster to see if you would like the game.
So it's a self-contained little slice. That's quite clever.
Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, I don't know anymore because I haven't played the game, but it's a satisfying little demo, and it does leave you thirsting for more, and it's very simple to play. It's the kind of game you could play on anything as well. Any old laptop will probably do it. So yeah, it's just one I thought I'd mention, and I'll probably mention again when I get some decent time on it after Fallout, so it might be a little while.
After Fallout.
Little caveat, after Fallout. So that's me. So Antony, what about you?
Well, I mean, I've been playing, similar to you guys, I've been playing Fallout 4, Halo 5, obviously. The other two that I'll quickly mention, I've been playing Ratchet & Clank for some reason. I don't know why. I've been playing Ratchet & Clank on the PS Vita. So I had a big trip yesterday to Manchester and back. My laptop kind of battery ran out, so I got my Vita out and I started playing Ratchet & Clank, and I was just really enjoying it. I've got I think it's called the Ratchet & Clank Trilogy. It's the collection that was on the Vita that kind of gave you kind of 3 games. And I was just really enjoying playing Ratchet and Clank again. I know there's a new one, or there's a re-image that's coming out next year on the PlayStation 4. But I was really enjoying the old kind of classic Ratchet and Clank, and it was and it lends itself quite well as well to the Vita. They haven't put any touch controls or anything like that in, so it is just that kind of OLED screen. But it's really nice. I was really enjoying kind of getting back into that game. There's lots of kind of platforming and big guns, I just think I need one of those games. I think I need a kind of a really good platform.
It's nice and light-hearted compared to everything else that you're playing as well at the moment, I guess.
Yes, indeed, it really is. And it's just, and it is funny, when you kind of get Captain Quark and things like that. It is just, it's a well-written game. It is it laughs at itself, and and obviously the guns are just amazing, and the guns are just stupid and but fun. It is just stupid but fun. But it's a great game. And I think I've played most, if not all, of the Ratchet and Clank games, even All for One. And I do enjoy them. They are just a great franchise.
I always get Ratchet and Clank mixed up with Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, I mean, there was at that time, wasn't it? That there was those two. There was definitely kind of those kind of 2 games were either kind of like every other year you just kind of had, it was like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, they just kind of kept swapping in and out. But Ratchet and Clank is definitely, in my eyes, I got the Jak and Daxter remasters for the Vita as well, and I think I've played the Ratchet and Clank ones all the way through. This is like my second playthrough on the Vita of the Ratchet and Clank, and the Jak and Daxter ones kind of got a bit samey, I think, quite quickly.
Cool.
And then one of the games that I haven't put on my list, but I remember playing, I completely forgot, and I was just googling the Undertale, and I saw a skeleton there, and that reminded me that on Halloween, I was playing Grab by the Ghoulies.
What a very fine game you chose to play, sir.
It's a very fun. So I thought, it was Halloween. I was playing it as part of Rare Replay, and I hadn't finished it, so I kind of picked that up, and I was playing on that, and that's such a great game. It really is. It's just like James would be beaming with pride, but no, it is a good.
I feel I have to stay quiet for this for some unbiased nature.
Yes. Yeah, but I just kind of jumped in, played Grab by the Ghoulies, and I was playing that, like I say, all Halloween, and it was just a really great fun game. And then the last game I've been playing, which came out last week, is Black Ops 3.
Now, does this speak volume that you've left this till last? Is the
Well, it's kind of almost like a guilty pleasure, isn't it, on the end of that list? But But no, I always play Call of Duty games. I never play the multiplayer. I always jump in. I've said time and time again on the podcast that I play the campaign. I enjoy their Jerry Bruckheimer stupid games, but I enjoy it. There's something that I like about those Call of Duty games, and they do nail the shooting quite well. When you play Halo and you play all the other kind of shooters, there's something that feels quite right about a Call of Duty, the mechanics of it. What I'm having problems with at the moment is the story is completely bonkers. They have gone so far away from what used to be quite a decent story, a good setting. They have gone so far in the future that they just need to pull it back. They really do need to pull it back. And I've found more so with this campaign. I'm probably halfway in. I found more so with this campaign that there's a lot of go there, shoot that. People shouting at you.
What is
here,
the story? I haven't
that,
even.
do
I
this.
think whether I'm just Call of Duty blind at this point in time, but. Can you sum up what the story is? Is it a megacorp is now creating an army and sending forth, or is it? No, that was last year's.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's every single. But this is Black Ops. So they've gone back to and I quite enjoyed Black Ops 2. Was really cool because they were kind of Vietnam. There was, but this is the year is 2053, and there is a corporation. You're playing this team of Black Ops right at the start. You're playing with your character. Spoiler alert, but I think it was in the trailer because I was being very protective of tweets over the weekend. But I saw it in a trailer right at the start. You get there's robots, so the army that you're fighting is robots. So I thought that's quite cool. It's a bit like Terminator. It's a bit like Judgment Day. You get beaten up. Your arms get ripped off, and then you just get cybernetic arms and eyes, and it's all just too much. It's just, and then so each level is there again, similar to Halo 5. They are kind of designed for 4-player. You can do 4-player co-op. So there's 4 guys in there. They've got wall running from Titanfall. They have just gone, we want a bit of that. We want a bit of that. They've got this Oni system, I think it is, where you can just hit right on the D-pad, and all of the kind of bad guys, or all of the people that you've got to kill are all just instantly highlighted on your screen, so you know where everybody is, and then you can just pop up, take them out, take them out, and it's just bonkers. It just is absolutely bonkers.
Do you think it's evolved from year to year? Is it? Because I get every time you see a trailer, it's trying to add something new, and I almost get the feeling it's almost like FIFA, in the sense that I really quite like Call of Duty 2 and Modern Warfare, and they were solid games, but because they're out every year, they have to keep trying something new and just pushing it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing that they're doing here, they're placing new weapons. One of the things I have found strange is that you can't pick weapons up. When you go over a weapon, you can't change it because you've just got these weapons that are coded to you. So you've got this, and you just obviously you pick up more bullets as you go around. Like I say, they do have the wall jump. They've definitely, I mean, visually, it's absolutely stunning. There was I did say kind of last week that the sand level in Halo was one of the most amazing things I've seen for a while in gaming. And then Call of Duty, there's this whole level where this ginormous storm is coming in, and sides of buildings are being ripped off, cars are being thrown into buildings, and you do have to anchor yourself down every now and then. And it's just incredible. You know, I got to the end of that Black Ops, and I almost wanted to play it again because it was just visually stunning. You know, I enjoyed that kind of anchoring down every now and then. So they definitely have, like I say, the mechanics feel tight. They definitely have moved on, but what they've lost from Call of Duty is a coherent story, because it is just bonkers. You know, I played that. I don't play multiplayer because I don't like the things these two say about me on multiplayer. There's swear words I don't need to learn. But I did play zombies as well. So, you know, normally, you know, when I played like World of War, zombies doesn't really unlock until the end. But for this, it is very much they're selling it on the box. You know, it's been an advert with the zombies in. So I was playing the zombie mode as well. Zombie mode's really good. It's good fun. It's the same where you have that area that opens up, and that again, you know, playing 4-player zombies as I have done with my nephew and his friends, that's just great fun. You know, that is really good fun. And you know, you have Jeff Goldblum, you have Ron Perlman, who was Hellboy. So you have these guys, and they're voiced and they look like them, and it's just that I enjoyed more so than the campaign. But what I will do, I will continue kind of finishing. I want to finish the campaign. I'll always just kind of finish that, and then I'll just take this game back to game and trade it in. But I really do feel that, you know, yes, you've nailed the look. You've got a really good mechanic for weapons. They feel great. They sound great. But, you know, just reboot that story. You know, take it back to Modern Warfare. Take it back to World War II. You know, we haven't had a good World War II game for about 5 years. Maybe it's time to go back to that setting, because I think that's where Call of Duty really did excel.
Yeah, I wonder if they've gone too far, though, because of these extra increments they've added year on, year out. Can you imagine trying to go back to just bolt-action rifles and grenades that don't swarm like bees and devour enemies? It's almost like that kind of thing where you get in the Batman sequel, in the Batman prequels, where he's actually more kitted out than he was in the supposed original.
Yeah.
It's that weird thing, like, you can't go back.
Absolutely. I mean, but like I say, with this one, you know, the army that you're fighting is robots. You know, you kind of, you know, they are just I mean, there was a section where you first saw the robots and they kind of came out of the mist. You know, it was very Terminator 2. You know, in my head was just like dun 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 dun. You know, because I had that, and I was like, wow, this is, and that's what I like about Call of Duty. It is that moment where it's just stupid, silly, but occasionally you do have these wow moments. And it's 7 hours, and then it's over, and then you take it back, and you forget you played it until next year. And you know, that's how I see it. You know, and it's an interesting one. But like I say, I will continue going, and I do want to finish the campaign. I normally just play it on normal, you know, just play through once, and then I'm done. So I think that's about it. Wow, we've that's about over an hour of what we've been playing. It just shows, doesn't it, that we're in that time of year, isn't it, where these are good games. You know, like I say, next week where there is Star Wars, there is Lara Croft, and you know, and there's more games coming in December as well. But with that, let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, we discussed a list of backward compatibility titles that are now available for Xbox One. Will you be playing them, or are they just a nice to have? We also have news on the Fallout 4 Pip Boy Fiasco. Maybe we won't go there.
I think we might have covered that enough.
It's and it's also the return of the much loved and also much hated Video Game Awards. So first up, our first news article is with me, and that is that Gears of War, so those people that bought Gears of War Ultimate Edition, on the box it said, you know, you buy this before the 31st of December and they Microsoft will send you codes for Gears of War 2, 3, and Judgment as part of the backwards compatibility function that's going to be rolled out on Xbox. Now, this has Gears of War they've been tweeting about this and just saying that anyone who has bought it, and it does go on until the end of the year, but they're going to start sending out the download codes at around December the 1st. So, like I say, if you have played it, you should be receiving some codes via your Xbox. There'll be codes that you'll be able to highlight and then instantly download those titles as Xbox 360 titles in the backwards compatibility. And whilst we're talking about that, tomorrow, which is the 12th of November, the new Xbox One experience will start to roll out to everybody. So I know we've had it in the preview program. Darren, I think you removed it because of Rock Band. But that now starts rolling out as it will be the new Xbox experience across the board.
Yeah, scary. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is update and just put Rock Band on and see how it works.
Before Claire gets home.
Yeah, I'll be running around, check Rock Band, check that as well. That I had this really odd thing where none of the menu items worked as well. You had to press the A about 50 times for it to work. So I'm sure that they've ironed all that out. But that's the first time I've been burned with anything like that. So I'm sure it will be fine.
But as well as the new Xbox experience, that obviously brings the backwards compatibility, which was a big selling point at E3. It was something that Microsoft didn't think they could do, but they've now done, and they've released the list of, I think there's about 100 or so titles, 104,
It's
104. Backwards compatibility titles. Have you guys seen it? Are there any that are jumping out to you? Any that you might play?
I've been going down it. I think the main ones that I'll probably try and revisit are probably the Xbox Live Arcade ones. Things like Ikaruga and even things like Hexic. Because with things like Fallout and Halo, I feel I've got the big games covered, but I still can't. I don't think you can beat some of the classic XBLA ones from the previous generation. And just even skipping down it, there's things like Torchlight in there, which I'm sure I bought digitally the first time round. So I don't think I finished. So be eager to get back to that.
Yeah, Torchlight is a fine game, and it's good to hear you like Ikaruga, man. Bullet hell.
Yeah, I that was the one I hunted down on the GameCube way back in the day, so I have a lot of respect for that
game.
one.
That's a great mechanic as well, how you change your colour, don't you, to have allegiance with the different bullets, white or black, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not usually a bullet hell fan, but that little mechanic sucked me in.
Yeah, cool game. And Shadow Complex I might revisit as well, actually.
Yes, that's already available.
It is actually
Shadow Complex, because I fired that up the other day and I really liked it. That was from Chair Software.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was just a Load Runner. Load Runner's one of the ones for me because I really enjoyed that, and it always annoyed me because Nicola was she was better at it than me. And she was there just kind of doing all these maps, and I'm just there screaming at my TV. But I really enjoyed the remake that they made of that. But what's your take on the backwards compatibility titles? Are you going to, as you were saying, is that you're just going to grab those arcade titles that you already own digitally? Do you think it's something that you will use time and time again, or have you just moved on?
I think it's something I'm going to use intermittently. For me, the best thing about this is I now get to retire my 360 to the loft. Between this and the Rock Band 4, I feel it's time now to draw an end to that era and move it ceremoniously away from the TV. Because there's enough of my back catalogue now that is completely realised on this. Even things like Fallout, I absolutely loved. They gave us, I think, like Gears of War, they gave us Fallout 3.
Yes.
3 with Fallout 4. Whether I go back to it is another question. But the fact it's now there on my box, that has replaced another one, so just frees up the space from underneath my telly.
No, absolutely. I think. I mean, at the moment we still have two Xbox 360s. We've got one plugged in, one that's kind of available if ever we want to do it. Because I have a couple of times jumped into Gears of War with my brother-in-law, who's trying to get some achievements and things like that. And you're right. Now you can just say that's it. We're done with that. I want to make sure. I think you've already done it, James. So I want to make sure all my saves are in the cloud, and just do that. And then, but the great thing about this is that all of the Games with Gold titles that are being released, we're now getting all of those, like Dirt 3, which was this month's Games with Gold. That's now instantly available on the backwards compatibility list as
it's
well.
It's just great value, isn't it? It's just great value, and it's nice to have it there. It's nice to have that choice. For me, what I'll probably do is I'll as the list gets expanded, I'll check every so often and just get everything that I did buy, and I'll just re-get it so it's there. And then I will also use it when I have a wave of nostalgia. I'll be like, oh, that game was so cool. And I'll go back and see, and if it's in the list, there's every chance I'll get it.
Now, is it wrong that I looked down the list and I was upset that there wasn't one there? Now, one of the games that I didn't buy because it was very much at the end of the 360 era, the Xbox One was there and it was all new and shiny, and I really wanted it on the Xbox One, was Fable Anniversary. Now, I'm a big Fable fan. I really liked the idea that Fable was getting tarted up, was hoping it would come to Xbox One, and because we're not really kind of getting a new Fable game. And then I kind of looked down the list and they had Fable 2, but they didn't have Fable Anniversary. So I'm just, I didn't want to tweet. I was going to tweet because Lionhead were very kind of active, going, look, you can play Fable 2. And I wanted to reply going, are we going to get Fable Anniversary? But I felt bad that that wasn't there.
It's surely something that's going to come in time as well, because this is just the initial wave. Because you look at the top as well, it's got Assassin's Creed 2, but none of the others. So you get the feeling that some companies are just drip-feeding certain titles on there, maybe to get interest, because I think there's only a couple of the Lego games as well, and you think of how many of those have been released over the years. So it's I don't know whether they're holding them back, or almost like the Virtual Console when Nintendo sort of drips feed you content. Whether they think our minds will be blown by having too many options to begin with, but it's almost like I think it's going to be a nice announcement like this week, this month on backwards compatibility, and you get a little drum roll and they whip the curtain away and we see what's new. And I don't know whether it's going to be that PR or that cynical, but I think it's going to be nice that every now and again we're going to get a new wave just to see what's there.
Yeah, and when there's games coming up, like a little bit like they've used games with Gold for, like releasing the Tomb Raider reboot, just before Rise of the Tomb Raider and things like that. So if they've got a new sequel coming out, they'll hold it back on backwards compatibility, the previous ones, and then they'll unveil them then, because it's just tactical and strategic to do so. And there's no harm in that at all.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get Fable Anniversary when Fable Legends comes out.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, next big Fable game, and then there'll be a big push on the backwards. It'll be like, and here you go, you can get up to speed with here. I'm just wondering about it. If you hadn't bought it digitally and you didn't own the physical copy, but you wanted one of these old games, would you have to buy it on the 360? Or can you buy it from the store if it's available on backwards compatibility? Or is it only if you've already purchased it?
No, you can go to Xbox.com
of course,
and buy it.
So you can do it that way.
Because that's what you're doing with the games of gold. So when they said dirt free, I went onto Xbox.com, purchased dirt free because it was free, and I remember playing it and quite enjoying it, and it looked really nice. So I just downloaded that, and then that should be appearing tomorrow in my list. So when you start scrolling right in your games, it then shows you the games that you own but are not on your hard drive, and then you can just choose from that, and then it will download. Right.
So you can't buy it from the storefront. It wouldn't appear unless you'd already bought it either on your 360 or through Xbox.com.
I don't know, maybe, with the update that's coming tomorrow, maybe the Xbox Store is going to get an update and you can have backwards compatibility titles will be one of those, because they have new releases coming soon, catered for you or whatever it's called. Maybe they might have a section for backwards compatibility and you can buy it straight from there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, I suppose, but it's almost like, why not? Why not just give people the ability that haven't bought it before, but maybe have stored the 360 away or are new to console gaming on the Xbox One? Why not give them that choice to just buy it and price it at a reasonable amount?
Absolutely. So the next news item, Darren, is with you. I'm looking at the list.
Everyone,
and I'm thinking,
please hide under their desks.
Maybe we'll just skip.
I'm rolling up my sleeves. No, right. So this is about Fallout 4 Pip Boy Edition game fiasco. So as we've already covered, game messed up the order for lots of people. Twitter was all in uproar, big internet drama. But I got my Pip Boy. And it's just unfortunate that after all that, the Pip Boy thing isn't really that good anyway. But it's all right for on the shelf. So game said, they insist the updates that I've read, game basically insists that it was people's banks refusing payment. I find that I'm very sceptical about that. Their press release basically says that. They did a press release on Facebook as well, and basically just loads of people underneath it were just like slagging them off, saying, "I can't believe it! You've ruined my life. I'm not getting my Pip Boy." So, I think they failed their customers, and it's a real shame. The thing is about it is that Game have got a monopoly, but they can't seem to handle having exclusives like this, and I just think that's a shame. It's the only high street store we've got. And this isn't the first time it's happened. You know, they've made a few blunders in recent months. The Mario Maker, and they charge people 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
On Mario Maker, you know, some people. I read a poor guy that had ordered 2 Mario Makers, and they charged 4 times. It took like £800 out of his bank, or something. And I was just like, oh my goodness me, you know, that could really hurt someone's financial situation. And there's been a few that they haven't delivered on. And so how are they, with the bad press, how can they continue to get the exclusives? And when something does go wrong, they haven't got the infrastructure to support sorting it out. You know, the value of anybody, of any shop, retailer, or a service that you buy, any outlet, any service that you pay money for, you know, usually you see their mettle when something goes wrong. It's how they fix something that goes wrong that shows that shows their true colours. And Game seem to be unfailingly bungling things. And so I'm really saying, please, exclusive offer givers, please don't give them in the UK. Please don't give them to Game again. Just give them to Amazon. Somebody that's big enough, even though it's not on the high street. Who cares? We still had to pretty much order it on the internet anyway and broke their website. Give it to somebody that can take, with an infrastructure that can support that and provide the service to the fans and the customers that want to get these exclusives, whatever they may be. Just give the exclusives, give the job to somebody that can handle it. That's my plea on it.
No, absolutely. You know, and it was quite interesting to see, you know, when that was happening. Obviously, Game was in ginormous emergency mode. You know, they were like, it's all gone wrong. You can imagine just everyone running around. You know, I've been in projects where we flipped the switch to go live and it's all gone wrong. You know, we've tested and tested and tested. We flipped the switch. It's not working. You know, people are there all hours trying to get it to work. So I can understand that they were in panic mode and they were probably very internal, because you want to say, right, we just want to fix it. And there probably was some PR person going, what can I put on Twitter? What can I put on Facebook? And everyone was hating that person. Because that's normally the project manager, like me, you know, who's kind of just getting the grumblings. But, you know, they were just very copy and paste to people's replies. So people are going, you know, on Twitter, I was looking on when it was Friday or Thursday or Friday, but they were saying, you know, people going, it's not working, I can't believe you've done this. And then Game was just copying and pasting the same reply over and over again. You know, so obviously they were trying to contact that person and trying to be, you know, as they should do, trying to put some contact, but it was just the same thing again and again.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And I think it's back to that. It's back to that exclusivity. You know, they suffer from it in the US. We suffer from it in the UK. When you have that exclusivity, you know, you are going to, especially with something as beloved as Fallout, you know, it's going to hurt the gamers and also your reputation if you mess up.
Yeah, so you should be, you know, I wouldn't mind if it was an isolated incident, but by all accounts it isn't. But you know, as a retailer that's well known in the industry, you should be aware that it's very important not to mess it up and have redundancies in place, especially if you've had 3 or 4 errors of the same proportions already in the year. You know, it's very strange.
For me, I guess it's almost, you know, if it happens once, it's an accident. It keeps cropping up in varying degrees. You just wonder
can understand once, you know.
Yeah,
everyone can make a mistake.
But it's what's going on the back end. Is that why are there these distinctions between, like, the Mario Maker Special Edition and the Pip Boy ones? Why are these almost different to the other ones? What has caused this, unless there was some sort of supply panic at some point?
This is the thing, is it a cover-up? And then it's like, it makes me doubt that Splatoon shipment got nicked. It's like it was just a blag because they didn't have the stock.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that?
That was like our first podcast, wasn't it? That was like podcast 1. It was where we're talking about the Splatoon robbery.
But yeah, just to finally just put this to bed, this is just how ridiculous it is. Right, just one more thing. One more thing I'll say is that today, 5 hours ago, at 3:36, I got an email from Game. Now, remember, everybody, that I received my Pip Boy yesterday, about midday.
Did they tell you it shipped?
They told me that they tried to process the order and it's failed.
Oh my God.
But don't worry, they've done quite well here, because they've said my order is still reserved and is being held for me in the distribution centre, so at least they didn't cancel the order. But my bank has not allowed payment to go through, and they have recently said, blah, 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 blah. I hope they're not going to charge me again.
But if they do, you can just sell it on eBay. By the looks of it, they're going for quite a price on eBay.
Yeah, they are. Actually, I'm sort of against that. So it's dead bad. I feel that I was taking advantage. But maybe I could just sell it at cost.
Yes.
Couldn't I? But I want to keep the game. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, James, go on.
From the profits you can make on eBay, you could get 2 copies. So.
Or maybe from the profits I could start a sort of foundation to try and fix games distribution service, and I'd be like, look, I'll take care of it. When you make a big calamity like this, just give it to me because my heart's in it, and I'll just get in touch with everybody in person and I'll sort it out, because obviously I could do that very easily. My other bit of Fallout news, I'm going to be so glad to close these tabs about that now. Fallout fans furious. Pip Boy Fury.
But when you're talking about kind of distribution and this Pip Boy edition and things like that, you look at distributors or manufacturers like Apple. Whenever they have an iPhone, a new iPhone, a new iPad, those things are so smooth. When I bought my Apple Watch, I was there at 8:01. It went live at 8:01. I was there at 8:01 via the app. 2 clicks. Done. 2 days later, it arrived at 12 o'clock. And there was probably more people buying an iPhone or an iPad or an Apple Watch, than there was probably those Pip Boy editions. And yet it was just so smooth. But occasionally we do have these bumps in infrastructure. We were talking last week or the week before where we were talking about Star Wars tickets, and how it all went a bit wobbly when the Star Wars tickets were out and ready to buy. And it always surprises me that in 2015, we're now in the future, and in 2015 we have these infrastructure bumps.
Yeah, and the thing is, the persona or the game give to us in Britain, because they're like the premier game retailer for us, so it gives you the impression that they're massive. I don't know what their situation is like. I don't know whether they're working out of some back street.
There's a big van park somewhere in a car park.
Yeah, somewhere in Burnley or something. Some geezer in an house, and it's just a bloody
website. 3.
Yeah, we need somewhere else. Pip Boy San. No, they sound like that in Burnley, but it just makes you think what's going on, because they didn't have enough lines to cover the complaints. I don't know how many incoming lines they've got. It just makes you realise that, and they say it's only a small amount of people affected. Well, if it was, then you've only got a small amount of lines for people who are affected to try and contact you, and they were knocked out. They might even still be knocked out now, but I tried Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday to get through, and I didn't stay on waiting around for hours and hours, but when I rang up I just got cut off, and the online chat had been down for that 4 days as well. So that's kind of surprising for just a small incident that their press release says that it is, and it just takes confidence away, and it's like we haven't got anyone. The game is sort of the last bastion of hope on the high street, and it's Game Station fell as Game absorbed them, and then nearly went bankrupt, and then Game came back, and that, it's difficult because sometimes you want to just go and have a mooch around a store. Blockbuster went under, so Game's sort of the last place. So they could be brilliant, they could be fantastic, because they're sort of, we're a captive audience if you want to go in a high street store. Game have got us, so if they could be good, surely they could clean up if they just cleaned up their act. I will say, like I said, all the customer service people were brilliant when I got through to them, were very polite. Anyway, they were really nice. But what's the good in that if they're messing up your orders? And it's not an isolated incident. It's just,
Yeah, I think maybe like when they almost had that crash, maybe they downsized a lot, with people on the end of the phones, number of telephone lines, all of that. Maybe they just downsized. So, even though it might have been a small amount of people, maybe their new streamlined, more affordable infrastructure just couldn't hold it. So
yeah, then maybe they shouldn't be given the opportunity to be selling exclusives that would command that amount of interest and that amount of sales if they can't handle it. Because it's just bad for everyone, bad for their reputation, bad for gamers' feelings, bad for gamers' consumer rights. It's just an endless mess. So yeah, and in conclusion, with Fallout 4 for me,
it's the last time we mention it. Promise.
Yeah, we'll come up with a code name, James. If we want to mention
yes, a safe word.
Yeah.
There was a nice little Fallout 4 launch interview with Pete Hines. I don't know if you guys saw it. And that was on MajorNelson.com. And it's just nice. So Major Nelson's chatting to Pete Hines about Fallout, and he's just going through some of the enhancements and the new iterations and the new things you can do in the game, the modification and crafting of the guns. And he just goes into it, and it's just nice to see Pete Hines, who's the Vice President of PR and Marketing at Bethesda, chatting about it, and you can see his passion there. And it's a nice little interview. It's only about just under a quarter of an hour, so I'll pop that at the end of in the show notes at the end of the pod.
The best thing about Pete Hines, because he is a PhD, an MD, and a lot of other things, he put on Twitter on Tuesday a doctor's note, because he is a doctor. So he put a doctor's note, and it was like
signed himself off.
No, he was signing everybody else off. It was like dear teacher, employer. Could you please excuse here? Insert name here, because they can't make it to work today because they have the pancreas issue or something like that. Signed Dr. Pete Hines, and I was just like, I would love to have given that to my boss on Tuesday.
Brilliant. You could frame that.
Exactly, like the doctor signed me off. He even signed it as well. I thought it was just genius. It was like, it really made me chuckle. So James, the next non-Fallout news article.
You mentioned Fallout.
No, stop it.
So
stop it.
And another thing.
Dog meat. So the next news items with you.
Yes. So announced this week, Activision are moving. Well, not away from games. They are expanding their stable to now include TV and film. They are setting up a new studio to create TV programs around the likes of Skylanders and films around the likes of Call of Duty. So they're looking at going to push these franchises beyond the Xbox and the PlayStations and take them to a wider field. The first one they've got planned is Skylanders Academy, an animated TV series that's looking to be piloted, I think, about springtime next year. And also have got slated a Call of Duty movie set in a robust cinematic universe coming 2018/19. So a couple of years off, but should get time for them to start planning things. Wow. But I just thought it was interesting that now they have got these monolithic franchises. They're only just now looking to try and push out beyond the realms of the consoles, because I'm almost shocked that Skylanders hasn't had a cartoon like licensed to Cartoon Network or Disney or something like that, something that has pushed it to even more people than it does now.
Yeah, absolutely. That is just, straight from like the first Skylanders, this is crying out for a TV show, isn't it? You have to hook kids even more, so, and maybe adults as well. So, but yeah, that's just incredible. So, it's quite interesting because like last week, Activision announced that they were buying King for $5.6 billion, and now they're just kind of throwing even more of that big pot of cash that they've got at the movie industry or the entertainment industry.
Well, the month before that, they set up an esports division as well, so they're going full guns into this expansion project at the moment. But I wonder how much of a TV and film studio it's going to be, because I think when people say that, you imagine them employing lots of runners, cameramen, animators or so. I wonder if it's going to be a small production house that just happens to outsource a lot of things. But the fact they're trying to think multimedia now is superb. I'm looking forward to the Tony Hawk's cartoon. Maybe a Crash Bandicoot documentary, and who knows what could they do with Guitar Hero version of maybe X Factor or something like that.
Oh my God! You should be the creative head. There you go. You have.
I haven't been planning
there.
those lines for hours at all. No.
Yeah, I want to see the Crash Bandicoot documentary. You can imagine him all depressed, going, "I used to be big, you know. I used to be really big."
Ratchet and Clank, they came along.
Yeah. He's got a big belly. He's got a big paunch, just eating apples. He's got this pile of apples behind him, and he's just like. But I mean, as well as kind of launching that kind of TV and film and saying that, one of the and those kind of upcoming, another thing that they announced at BlizzCon at the weekend was the Warcraft movie. So this is all Activision as well, isn't it? So this is part of that franchise.
Yeah, it's part of the franchise. This is a completely
part of that studio.
Separate deal, though. I think the Warcraft movie seems to have been ongoing for years. It just happens to have had its first trailer last week.
Yes, I mean it's Duncan Jones is the director of this, and it's all it's all designed and done by Blizzard Entertainment, so which is kind of partly owned by Activision. But you're right, yeah, I think this has been going for at least about 3 years, hasn't it? I've heard rumblings of a World of Warcraft movie for at least about 3 years. Did you guys see the trailer? Have you watched the Warcraft trailer?
I haven't seen it yet. Oh, great! So you guys can tell me what it's like.
I'm going to preface with this: it wasn't bad. Any stuttering and umming and erring I've got now is thinking how to phrase it nicely. The problem for me in Warcraft is that it's almost too big to hang its hat on. Like, at least with the likes of Lord of the Rings and other fantasy novels, you either have like known leads. You know, The Hobbit has, you know, who's going to be in there. There are strong characters. In the Warcraft movie, in the Warcraft universe, although there are characters, I don't know if there are any prominent enough to come forward and lead the movie, which I don't know whether I've got mixed feelings about this, because I watched the trailer, but I didn't get sucked in, because it seems to be some sort of origin tale between how the war started between man and orc, and yeah.
Now, did you play World of Warcraft, James?
I did. My lovely wife will tell you that I was slightly addicted to it for a while.
Oh, wow. Right. See, this is quite interesting because I've never played World of Warcraft, and so I came at this as just a fantasy movie. And when I watched the trailer a couple of times, I enjoyed there were some moments with the big chunky orcs that it looked amazing. You know, it looked fantastic. There were some where it's like, this is a bit like Avatar, you know, you do look a bit CGI, but there was some like really real close up of the orc's face, and it was just, I mean, like I say, I've never played World of Warcraft, and I want to see this. You know, spring 2016, I'm there kind of opening weekend, because it just looks like a fantastic big chunky kind of what I want a Gears of War film to look like movie, and I was and it's really interesting because I've been like not really interested, and then suddenly I saw this trailer and I was like, yeah, this is definitely another movie to see in 2016. I
think I'm still skeptical. The spectre of Uwe Boll from all those years ago is still hanging over game movies for me.
Yes.
But it hasn't put me off, but it hasn't sold me on it. There was just something about it that was just so cliched fantasy. But I guess that's almost what Warcraft is. I guess if that's what Tolkien is, that's what Warhammer is at some point in time. There are goblins, there are orcs, there are men, and there's probably some ghosts and ghouls and supernatural stuff. And it just didn't do enough to separate itself out, other than having big chunky orcs. I mean, I'm going to give it a go. I'm quite interested in going to see it, but it didn't have that bang, possibly because it's been in development for so long.
Yes, indeed. And like I say, you know, if you are a Warcraft player, then you're probably going to come with perceived ideas of what you want your movie to be and how you want it to kind of feel. And I mean, it was only just that kind of first trailer, so maybe that's kind of it's a hard thing to kind of nail down. But you know, it is, you know, it's like someone saying, "Here's a Gears of War movie for me." You know, I'm probably going to look at it and go, that's not what I wanted, you know, and you're right, they were just that kind of those big chunky I just love those big chunky orcs. But it's well worth a watch. I mean, I'll stick a link to the trailer in the show notes, but it looks stunning. You know, there are some the backgrounds and the world does look very good. I mean, I don't know, it's not going to make me want to play Warcraft, because I think kind of all of that kind of comes with like a, you know, as you can probably attest, James, a health warning.
Yeah. Imagine that, a month free subscription with every ticket. How many marriages would be ruined with that?
I think I'm always one of those ones. A friend of mine, I remember going on a business trip, and he had his laptop, and he was always kind of going back to his room at 10 o'clock because he needed to go online and do Warcraft and all of that. And I was always at that point, never really been a PC gamer. I was always like, oh, if that came to a console, I'd jump on it. But because it never did, I think it's something that needs to come to a console at very early on in the life cycle. I was surprised that we didn't get it with Xbox One or PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I've always been fearful of it ever since I heard of Ultima Online. I think that was the first one I heard of, and I just said to my friends at the time, they were like, "Are you going to get Ultima Online?" I was like, "No, because I'll never get off it," and I just avoided it, and I've avoided all online RPGs ever since. But I've met a few guys that have got into them. One guy just plays it all the time. He plays it at work. He's always got a window going with it on. He plays it at home. He's married in Warcraft and stuff. He was really proud of the fact that he doesn't get off his chair at all, and that he leaves his door unlocked. And he had, I think it was like something like 12 consecutive meals. He had pizza because the takeaway guy just used to know him, and he'd walk in and just put the pizza in front of him while he's playing Warcraft. I mean, we're talking South Park standards of caricaturization here. But
wow.
It's a true story.
Wasn't there a button? Wasn't there a hotkey in Warcraft where you could order pizza?
Yeah, at one point they did put ability to order. This was way after I quit, but they did put a hot.
It was because of you they put it in. That was to try and lure you back. But yeah, and another guy, when I worked a long time ago at a place, and he played EverQuest, and he'd be so proud, he'd come in on a Monday and be like, "Oh, what have you done?" And he'd say, "I played EverQuest from Friday when I got home until probably about 6 a.m. this morning," and he was like, "Classic," and he was proper happy about it, and I was just like, "Whoa, man." He managed to do his job as well, and so did the other guy. They did the jobs okay, but I was just staggered, and I just thought, "Oh man, I don't want to go there. I daren't play it."
But that's so interesting because that's kind of, the way that those games are. I mean, obviously, I'm never going to be able to put that much time in because I'm old and I need my sleep. But I was always surprised that Destiny didn't grab me, even more so. I mean, there were some nights where it was 2 a.m. and I had to go to bed. I had to remind you to go to bed while we were playing Destiny. But I was surprised at that because that kind of had the possibilities of drawing you in like that. I don't think probably as much as Warcraft, but it did definitely have that. There was these endless just getting endless kind of just trawls for stuff and for equipment, and I'm always surprised that didn't grab me that way.
Yeah. But, I'm not sure if online sort of persistent worlds work as well on consoles. I don't know whether it's something about console gamers or something. Like, for instance, I never really hear anyone talking about, is it Elder Scrolls Tamriel Online?
That sort of seemed to came and went, didn't it? I haven't heard too much about it.
And that's a current
Smite.
gen, and I never hear anyone talking about it. Yeah, Warcraft.
Smite seems to be going down quite well at the moment on Xbox One. I hear a lot of people talking about Smite.
Is that not a MOBA?
That is a MOBA, yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of similar, isn't it?
I don't know, because that's sort of I don't know. You tell me. I thought I was sort of an RPG and MOBA. I don't know. It's very focused, Smite, isn't it? But I suppose on your Warcraft type games, you just clan together and go and bash something as well, don't you? I don't know, really. I've never played them.
The World of Warcraft one always seemed to be split between a few different aspects. So you could definitely solo it. You could definitely go off and get your quest to go and kill 20 boars and then do a little quest line and collect that and what have you. But then it sort of came to it in its own when you were with a group of people, and almost like, well, actually, yeah, completely like Destiny. It's the raids that I think were the pinnacle of the MMO achievements, because you have to get together, you have to work as a team and use all your powers and make sure that you're appropriately leveled with the right gear and know when to do your spells or when to buff or when to heal. And it was just that cooperative nature. Again, most things nowadays, I'm not a big fan of PvP, but when 3 or 4, 5, 6 of you got together and took on a dungeon together against these massive bosses with these elaborate patterns, and that's where it made it for me. But so much of them, I think WoW especially, they just didn't have an interface that would have lent itself to a controller. It was never designed for that. Like when I had 10 different hotkeys set up and then some mods because I was a healer and so I had to try and track the stats of all my party, it's just something that I think would collapse on on a console just because of the limited space that you've got on a keypad. You need something, I guess, like the Elder Scrolls Online, that was designed from the ground up to be a far more action-based RPG.
Yeah, I was just thinking about shouting out to your Xbox for your hotkeys. Xbox heal.
I said heal, not
Xbox
kneel.
Heal. Don't shut off. Don't turn off.
Brilliant.
I still do that though. When I walk into my room, I always into my movie room. I always go Xbox on, and most of the time it does pick it up and turn it on. That's why it's almost like my Xbox is just sitting there waiting, going, "He'll be back in a minute. He'll be back in a minute." And want to turn on because it's the one command that it really does kind of pick up most of the time. I'm just like, but I built my movie when my movie room was being put together. I actually kind of threaded my Kinect into the wall and down to the AV cabinet, so it's there no matter what. I cannot move it. So I'm starting to think of the hole. I'm looking at the hole because if I'm going to get PlayStation VR, I guess I'm going to need a camera for PlayStation VR. So it'll have my Kinect will have a little friend on the fireplace to buddy up with.
Oh, that's nice.
That's really cute, isn't it? Right, Darren, next piece of news is with you.
There's an interview with Microsoft. WindowsCentral.com got to chat with Mike Ybarra. I think that's how you say it. Ybarra. And he he leads the team behind the new Xbox One experience. And he does all the Xbox Live stuff. And they had a chat with him. They had a good interview with him, which I will put in the notes. I know I often pick up an interview and stick it in the notes. And I only put them there because I think they're a good read. But he basically officially said about the fact that they are tailoring the evolution of the Xbox in the direction that the fans want, which just makes sense really after the launch and what have you. But it's just nice to see it there in black and white that it's actually been said. So they mention one of the questions that they mention is that Kinect gestures they bring up with regard with the new Xbox One experience, and they say it's absent from the new Xbox experience, which I didn't know actually. I hadn't noticed that they were going to get rid of gestures. And he basically said that they looked at the Xbox One, the new Xbox One experience, and they wanted to prioritise what the customers wanted. And they said in reality the usage of the gestures, they can obviously analyse this and see how it's being used, is very, very low. So they've cut it off. And so when they launch it tomorrow, you won't be able to do your old grabbing the screen and moving the icons and things that you used to be able to do. I don't know whether that is dropped as well, because maybe it won't work so well with the new interface because it's not so large, is it? It's not so sort of Metro inspired.
No.
And he basically says, so we've listened to the fans, to the consumers, and we want to go in a direction that they want us to go in, and that's an example of where they've done that. But he talks about all sorts of different things. He talks about plans for smart glass. He talks about Xbox app on Windows 10 mobile. Everything Microsoft. They talk about a heck of a lot of things, and all relating in with Windows 10 and Xbox compatibility. And it's a really interesting read. So I'll stick that in the show notes as well. Well worth 5 minutes of your time.
Cool. Well, I guess it almost goes back to Antony's point, because I too use Kinect to voice activate my Xbox, turn it on. But to be honest, I can get it through most of like iPlayer and Amazon Instant Video using just the voice as well. But I never really got on with the gestures on that. I found the voice far more reliable. I think it's just something nicer about just lounging back in your chair as well and just commanding your Xbox from afar. So you can almost see. So. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm the same. And the thing that galls me about it is that I love the voice aspect, but the fact that they bolted on Kinect and it was quite a bit of money, and it's like everything that's useful about Kinect, I find is just the voice recognition. And they could have just had a speaker. A microphone. They could have just brought out a microphone, like the WeChat thing.
Yeah,
It could have just been as base as that, and it would have done everything that I hear and I love about the functionality with the Xbox Kinect. Is all about the voice recognition. If only they'd have realised that and just brought a microphone out, and they could have still impressed everybody with Xbox on and stuff, couldn't they? I mean, they couldn't have done the gestures, but they'd have said, "Go here, Xbox Bing," and then look for this and that, and it could have just been done with a microphone, and it would have saved such a lot of money. It's a shame.
Absolutely, I'm the same as James. I do use, you can. The great thing about it is that I have been that kind of you're eating chicken wings and you're watching an episode of TV and you just do go Xbox next episode on Netflix, and it's just like, and it works, and you're right, they could have maybe the next Xbox, or if they when we get halfway through and they bring out a new console SKU or something like that, maybe it will have a sensor or even a microphone on the Xbox itself.
Or what I'd love is because it's great, because it could makes you not want to use a remote control in the same way that digital games make you not bother. You don't want to bother getting up and swapping discs. It just feels instantly archaic. The ridiculous notion to get up and get a game out of the box and have to swap it, you're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I think that's what it does when it works. It works so well. For me, I'd love it if they could do it wirelessly so that I could position it closer to me and away from my speakers, because my Kinect's quite near my 3 front speakers, and when I'm playing a game that's really loud, it can't hear me.
Have you run the setup on it? He says going into IT mode.
Yeah.
You have? Oh, okay. Because I found that I had the same problem initially, and I ran the setup, and it basically then learned to ignore itself.
Did it? So it ignored the sort of the sound from the game, and it still picked you out?
Yeah. If it's too loud, it can't do it. But yeah, I think part of the setup is it tries to identify what noises are coming from the speakers and what noises are coming from the room itself. So it seemed to solve problems for me. Yeah,
I've done it several times, but then I do have it pretty loud.
Right, that'd be it, because my Kinect is actually just below my central speaker, so my central speaker is kind of nailed to the wall. It's screwed to the wall, and the Kinect is right underneath it. And it did take I had to run the diagnostics a couple of times, and then it kind of worked well. And I did, every time some new piece of furniture or something was moved into the room, I just always kind of just ran through that, and it just seems it does work. It works okay. But maybe Darren, it depends how loud you've got your
I have it pretty
how
loud.
Loud you've got Halo.
But it would just instantly cure it if you had a wireless smartphone, like one of these polyphony star phone, conference phones things, but just a really small one, and then you can just sit it, where in the player area, and bingo. Jobs are good. And I said they pick up everybody else chatting and probably do loads of stuff.
Or if you could use smart glass, if you could use smart glass and talk into your phone or your iPad.
Well, does it do that? Did you say?
No,
I thought you said it does it. I was like, wow. Yeah, that would be a fantastic solution, wouldn't it? And then they wouldn't have to spend the hardware, just bring it out on an app.
Yeah, I say just ask Cortana to change game for you. It'd be fantastic.
Oh wow, that'd be the dream, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So there you go. Go to feedback.xbox.com and submit it. That's what you need to do. Absolutely. Great website. I'll put a link to it in the show so you can go to the Darren and put. I'm surprised you're not on there every day going, and what would be good is if you did this.
Well, yeah, there's loads of good ideas, man. I should definitely. That's bad because I don't like to moan unless I've tried to do something to fix something. So there's definitely room for me to just type it in and say, look, what about this? What about this? What about doing a speaker? Wow, but that's a better idea. Do it as an app. That's perfect.
I'll stick it in the show notes. It's xbox.uservoice.com.
Brilliant.
So there you go. James, next piece of news.
Yes, this caught my eye earlier today. It's that Take-Two have allegedly, we should keep saying the word allegedly a lot in this, have allegedly sent private investigators to stop a modder from creating a mod for GTA 5. So over the last few months, Rockstar have been banning and shutting down a few online flavoured mods. There was one a while ago that I think basically tried to allow GTA 5 to operate online with mods active, and so allow people just to do whatever they want, create hell and high water if they want to, without fear of the ban hammer coming down. And that you still needed a complete legal copy of the game. There was no skullduggery, allegedly, according to the creators. This was just an environment for people to experiment and play and go nuts online with their friends. Rockstar didn't quite see it like that, and so they issued a cease and desist, but allegedly it was through a private investigator who came to knock on the mod creator's door. They knocked on the door, they introduced themselves, and then they handed the creator a phone, and to which a nameless employee of some shadowy organisation, they discussed it with him on the doorstep, suggesting that he might want to cease and desist, and that they didn't want lawyers to get involved. Now, I just think this is a bizarre turn of events. This almost seems like there's some sort of shadowy police force going on that's controlling the mod situation around the world. But just to have that sort of like MI5 CIA sort of thing where people just knock on the door and hand you a phone, that is some weird stuff going on. I mean, I hope, personally, in some way, I almost hope it's true that these weird things do happen. It's quite terrifying in one aspect, but just fascinating in another.
Absolutely. I mean, you always see, they always make headlines, the mods that happen to kind of GTA, but they're obviously the offline mode. I think the other day someone put Hulk into, they took Hulk from one of the Hulk games and he was playable and kind of in GTA, and they always look amazing. You always think, these must just add a real fun element to the game. But this is just incredible, So they actually had you could just imagine, can't you, like a Men in Black kind of style, getting a phone out of a briefcase and just handing it to this guy. Well, actually asking his mum first if he's in, and then giving it to
little Johnny comes downstairs.
I hope as well, as soon as they hung up, the phone just disintegrated, just to finish that piece off completely. But
yeah.
Oh, that would just
threw it in
amazing.
the nearby bin and it just blew up.
So was this news? Was this news today on what was it on Eurogamer?
Yes, yesterday. It was yesterday. Now, no one, I don't think, Rockstar and Take-Two haven't admitted that this has happened. And in fact, Rockstar have been out of their way to help modders even as recently as the summer. So people are suspecting that this might be Take-Two, the publisher, trying to just lean on people before it gets to the stage of skullduggery. But I've never heard anything like it. I've heard of IP infringements that have shut down mods, but something that almost just frees up the game so much. It's unprecedented as far as I'm concerned, especially when hiring private agencies to go around and talk to the people.
Wow, you could just imagine them with a big list of people that they've got to go around and hand these phones to. It's just incredible. I don't know if anyone's seen I think it's Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, where at the end they have this, like, Jay and Silent Bob have this list of people that have said bad things of them on a forum. And they are you? And there's this kid, and they're like, he goes, "Yes, I am," whatever his handle was, and then they just start beating him up.
Are you Milk Chugger 69 XXOX? Yes.
Yes. Take two will just hire Daniel Radcliffe to go around and beat people up.
From that programme the other week, maybe Daniel Radcliffe's on the list as well.
But that's just fantastic. That's very interesting. Right, the next piece of news is with me, just a quick one. I noticed that this year we've got the video game, or the Game Awards, is coming back yet again. They're reinventing themselves yet again. We've had some abysmal attempts at the Games Awards, but Jeff Keighley, the chap who kind of champions these, he tries every year. But last year wasn't too bad. The year before was diabolical, and we had someone, I think, from a TV show called Community, who was just didn't want to be there, phoned it in, and was just it was just horrendous. It was one of those shows that you just had to watch. You just
couldn't
cringing.
Turn away from the car crash happening in front of you.
You couldn't, could you? You just couldn't take your eyes away from it, and it was terrible. But they're trying again now. Gone is the Spike TV promotion, gone are all the kind of TV schedules. It's a totally independent Game Awards. It's happening at the same time and in the same place as the PlayStation Experience in San Francisco. Or same time, same weekend. I think it's in LA. But so it's happening at the same time. Now, the great thing about these, even though they are cringeworthy, and just by the people that are there and the adverts that you get before, you kind of know who's going to win each category, and they're always so lovingly distributed as well. Everybody goes home a winner. This is a true kind of kids sports day these days. Everyone goes home with a trophy. But the great thing about these TV awards or Game Awards is that they have exclusive first trailer or brand new games are announced during these, so they're always worth watching just for first gameplay, first footage, etc. So I'm quite excited. They're happening on December the 3rd, and they will take place at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to be really early in the morning for the GMT guys, but it's definitely worth a watch. Like the next day, there will be, I guess they're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, all of those streaming services. Definitely worth a watch, just like I say, for the exclusive content that's going to be broken during the award ceremony.
Now, I've always liked Jeff Keighley's approach to this, because he seems to be a one-man army over in the States, just trying to get an award ceremony that is public-facing but respectable as well. I know you say there was the car crash a couple of years ago, and he seems to be riffing on different formats, but he's persistent. He's persistent, and he's definitely out there trying to get some more credibility for us in a wider field. And at this time of year, you're obviously going to get adverts and what have you, because it's right in the middle of the holiday season. But fair play to him to keep on going.
Absolutely. I mean, like I say, last year was a lot better. Last year, really, I mean, obviously anything is an improvement over the year before, but last year was a real improvement, and there was some really good. I mean, we've had things like Arkham Knight and have been announced. I believe Skyrim was announced during this. Last year it was very Nintendo heavy as well. There was Splatoon might have even been kind of first gameplay or something like that during that show. So they as well as, I think, like you say, Jeff Keighley's a great guy to champion this, but he's also respected amongst these peers, and they do give them the exclusives as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. Like I say, it's happening at the same weekend as the PlayStation Experience, so maybe we'll get some more kind of PlayStation centric news there as well.
I agree. Jeff is a great anchor, and I've enjoyed it. It's been for a while though. The trophies and the awards have taken a back seat to the exclusive announcements, and that's really why I watch it. But also because there's just such a sort of a drought of decent of gaming stuff to watch. For me, it's like E3 and then the different conferences, and then this is actually an award show, and I sort of got behind it because it's like, all power to you for trying this. And he does. He's like you say, Antony, the previous one was diabolical, but it was funny to watch. But you could see that Jeff learned from that, and he came away and he rethought his strategy, and he didn't give up, did he? He didn't throw his cards down and give up. He came back and he did a much better show. It was pretty passable, that last one. I quite enjoyed it. So.
It was almost like a bit of a chat show, wasn't it? There was lots of sofas and guest developers coming in for a natter, and I'm sure I can remember an interesting segment with like No Man's Sky and Tim Schafer or so.
Yeah, it was.
So they definitely get the names on
format,
there.
and it was a world away from that cheesiness from the year before, and it was like, so we're going to take it seriously this time, and it worked a lot better. And I look forward to it, and I've read a few things about the awards show, about Jeff sort of leading the way with this and fighting for it, and he's very committed to it, and I hope it works. It just needs. It's usually the people he's been coupled up with. That one I can't remember, but he was coupled up with some guy, and you could tell he didn't want to be there and didn't know games, and it just came across. It was just so obviously transparent in everything he said and the way he acted, and it was just awful. It was awkward. And Jeff, I can't remember who it was, but you watched it and then rewatched it because it was just sort of awful. You had to watch it again. And Jeff I thought he was a great professional, the way he held himself together through it. He must have felt like the world was falling beneath his feet. But he kept on point, and he did do well. And then he came back and he's done a better show. And I'm really crossing my fingers. This might, hopefully, if he carries on this direction, this one might be even better. So I look forward to it. I enjoy it, and I don't mind the awards. I'll clap to and whoop for a game if I enjoy it, or then go, I can't believe it. If it's something else.
Well, absolutely. I've been up at 3 o'clock in the morning watching these, and just kind of sitting kind of sleepy-eyed at a PC or on the TV, kind of streaming from somewhere, watching these. I'm full behind this. I think the chap who kind of destroyed it a couple of years ago, I think that was Joel McHale.
That rings a bell.
He was the guy who was, and he's known for his kind of piffiness anyway, but I think he just took it one step too far, on that. But no, I'm definitely going to watch these, and like I say, I think it's nice when you celebrate this hobby that we have, when you celebrate this industry, and I do think just to hand out accolades every now and then, it's fantastic, and it will be an interesting watch, like I say, and not just for the exclusives, but also just to see kind of who gets what.
Absolutely. And next up is a very quick one from myself about VR. What it is that Sony have come out and said that the PlayStation VR is going to be priced such they're going to do their very best to price it so that people can afford it, to the point that they won't profit from it. So Shuhei Yoshida said, we're bringing a console mentality and also making developers test it fully before using the content. We tend to price hardware not to make money from it, but to get as many people or as many installed base so that content can be sold. It's the same kind of thinking in the way we approach PlayStation VR. So they're saying that basically, like a console where they just want to get the install base, they just want to get the people taking up the technology. So that's good. I still think he's also previously said it's going to be around about the same price as a console. So I think what they're saying is it's going to be around £350 probably. Maybe even did it release at £400? I think it released at £399, didn't it? So around about that price point. But what they're saying is whatever price point it does come in at, they're saying they're giving it out at the minimum they possibly can.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, because like I say, we do have the PlayStation experience in a couple of weeks' time, and I they started to tell us about VR at Paris Games Week, so I'm expecting maybe a price point, or we've got No Man's Sky coming out in, is it June 2016, and that is an obvious game for PlayStation VR. So whether they're going to have it at the same time, that's going to be the launch game. That would be the game that everybody wants to get their face into when that comes out. So whether that, but I'm my prediction, if I'm going to start doing a prediction, would be that a PlayStation experience, we get a price point.
I think you're right. And they started ramping it up, didn't they, at Paris Games Week? By far the most. We've seen them sort of trumpet out the information. They were really, really pitching about the VR. So yeah, it's great. And we already predicted No Man's Sky would be hand in hand with it. No Man's Sky, June, PSVR earmarked for second quarter of next year, which the last month of second quarter is June. So yeah, I think they'll be linked hand in hand, and maybe hopefully we'll get as you say, a price point and maybe just some solid release dates on both.
I think they need to be quite canny about the price point as well, because having already come out and said it will cost as much as a new console, that's quite terrifying, I think, for anyone trying to justify a peripheral to anyone else. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am as interested as the next man to try Morpheus, because I would love No Man's Sky at home just with a headset on. But equally, just as I turned down the Lego Ghostbusters Firehouse because it was £270, I don't think I can justify spending almost that, if not more, on a headset that will probably only be used for half the games I play.
Yeah. No, it's going to be... I mean, that's why I think they're going to announce it now, to say, right, those people that haven't bought a PlayStation 4 yet, if there is anyone out there, if you haven't bought a PlayStation 4 yet, now is the time to buy one. We'll give you 6 months. Yep. This is how much money you need.
Start saving for a VR unit right now.
Exactly. Don't buy that Ghostbusters.
That sounds amazing.
Gorgeous item. It is.
It's awesome. It's taking all my willpower, Darren.
Did you do that thing where you're like, it looked really good next to Ecto 1 as well?
Yes. I already started sizing up, going, I think I can make space on the mantelpiece just for...
Wow. I saw the Avengers, the Lego Avengers Helicruiser the other day.
Oh my god, that is gorgeous. Did you see it in the flesh?
Yeah.
It's ginormous,
it's 400
isn't it?
quid, though. I couldn't believe it. Yes. I couldn't believe it. It's $399.99. I was shocked.
See,
it's
that's not
amazing
for kids,
how much the licensed Lego costs as well on top of it. But the Helicarrier is awesome because it has the tiny microfigs of all the Avengers in there. It's so cute.
Oh, it's just so good. And that took all my, because I'm a Lego VIP, and I got. I didn't say that out loud. I actually have the card in my wallet. I was in the Lego store the other day.
Is that why you went to Manchester? Okay.
Yeah. I was in the Lego store the other day. I went, "Are you a VIP?" And I was like, yes, I am, and I whipped out my card in the Lego store. But and I got that email to say, do you want that helicarrier? Do you want it? And I sat there all night going, I really do. But Nicola's already banned me from buying any more Lego. But I've also got the tumbler. I got the Batman tumbler, and I bought that. And then we went to the Lego store at Bluewater, and the guy was like, I've got one out the back. Do you want to see it? And I was like, oh god, yeah, because mine hadn't arrived at that point. I was like, yeah, I do. And he kind of brought out this tumbler, and it's ginormous. And Nicola was like, where in the movie room are you going to put that? And I'm like, well, I'm thinking about, in the middle of the table, just right there. So she just said no. So it's not even opened yet. It's just sitting there. The box is pretty. I can just look at the box every now and then. But I must admit, I was very tempted by that Ghostbusters firehouse. It was just gorgeous.
I'm hoping for a lottery win before Christmas. Wow. That's about the only way it's coming.
I suppose the other thing for people to do who haven't got a PS4 yet is, I suppose they'll bundle the VR together at one point.
Oh, absolutely. There will be ginormous bundles, I think, when that comes out. I think you could just imagine a No Man's Sky sizzle reel demo disc, if that even exists now, and PlayStation VR. That is just, it's going to be there.
It's going to be one of these accessories as well, that because everyone wants it, Sony are going to be trying to work at driving down that cost as soon as possible. I mean, just look at what's happened with Oculus over the last 3 years. Their components have become cheaper and more affordable, or higher quality, or just lighter. So that thing's going to progress quite quickly. So you hope after a couple of years you'll see that price slashed. I guess just as with a normal console, the hardware will get smaller, cheaper, easier to produce.
This is the thing for the early adopters. Like, I'm pretty keen on getting one of these devices. I'm not sure what I'm going to get yet, or all of them, I don't know. But the devices that we get at launch are just going to be laughable within a really short time, like 80s mobile phone standard. So we're going to look. I'm going to look ridiculous with this massive PSVR on my face, and 2 weeks later they're going to bring out a pair of glasses that does the same thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, that is kind of the scourge of the early adopter, isn't it? You get, like we said before, you get the fun time with it, but you do have to pay the cost of having probably the most ridiculous version of it. Look at the iPad.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The first iPad is ginormous compared to iPad Air 2 now. If you see one of those in the wild, they look ginormous. They look archaic almost. So, maybe not as a big iteration of that with PlayStation VR, but it's definitely going to happen. But I think for me, PlayStation VR is the easiest one. I'm very interested in VR tech. We talk about it a lot on this podcast, and I'm very interested in VR tech. But I think the PlayStation VR is the easiest one for me because it means I don't have to buy a PC. I can spend my money on that, and it's going to plug into the device that I already have. So I'm definitely I think PlayStation VR is going to be my entrance. I'm just waiting for the price.
I want a PC, and I've wanted one for about 6 months now. But the catalyst for me, I decided the catalyst would be VR. So I'm going to get a PC when VR comes available, and for me, I don't know, because I read something the other day that said it may not be as good as you think resolution-wise, but HTC Vive has been the way that I've been leaning, because you've got that sort of free motion. You can walk around in the environment with the sensors. But the jury's out, really, until I see what's going to happen with the consumer units, because at the moment with Vive, I found out the other day the controllers last about 20 minutes before they run out of charge.
Wow.
But then... HTC Vive said, but this isn't the consumer unit. These are issues that we're working on. So I was thinking, better be working on that, because even me, foolish as I am, I don't think I'm not going to do another Philips CDI and rush in. And this is like thousands because with a PC added on. It's not just a few £100. So I sort of, it made me a bit more cautious, and it just made me a bit more cautious and a bit more concerned. And yeah, look, you're right. At least with PSVR, you know where you are.
Yes, absolutely. And also with PlayStation VR, that you're getting, and it's always been my thing with console gaming. You're getting the same as everybody else. With PC gaming, they released some shots from that game we're not allowed to mention the name of.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Some shots of nothing. There were shots of this game, and it was in ultimate mode. And if I had a PC and I was playing that game and I wasn't in ultimate mode, I'd feel cheated because ultimate mode looked gorgeous. It looked absolutely stunning. So PlayStation VR definitely is the one that I'm going to be looking at. And and if Sony are smart, they will have a conference full of people, of Sony fanboys, and all they need to do is start having PlayStation VR there, getting those guys to get their face into it. They start tweeting, telling their friends how good it is. It's the captive audience that they've got kind of landing in San Francisco in a couple of weeks' time. And, they really should, if they're going to release this next year, they really should show it off there, because the next PlayStation experience, they normally do it at December, so the next one, it would already be out. So this really, I could see this being quite special.
Yeah, well, I really, really hope so, because I don't know, just games that seem to have hit a glass ceiling in a lot of ways with what they can do. And so this next dimension, I'm just so ready for it.
Well, it's that extra thing, isn't it? It's that extra thing that justifies the next generation. I mean, as James was saying, next generation means more stuff in the world, more items that you can get, better weather effects, better graphics, better gameplay. But you still you want that extra thing, and that extra thing is PlayStation, is VR, is that immersion, and I can't wait to jump in. I mean.
And I think it's going to start a whole. I think there's going to be more genres defined.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm quite kind of stuck in my ways. I want to play Forza. I want to play Forza with a VR headset.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I always get told off for not checking my mirrors when driving in that thing. So that'd be great, just to be able to whip your head around and just make sure that you're not about to drive into someone as you turn around the corner. But it's the ones that you just don't know exist at this point in time. In the same way that when the Wii U came out and you had those great 4v1 asynchronous multiplayer, what things do we not know about that is virtual reality going to give us at this point?
Yeah, that's what I'm so looking forward to, just new genres coming out. A bit like back in the day when things like Populous first came out, and games like The Sentinel, and genres got created and you'd never seen them, and it was amazing. And that, I'm hoping that we're going to have something similar to that. It might not be as sort of a clean cut as that, because we've had so much history now in games, and it's been investigated so much, and we've got so many different genres. But I'm sort of just so ready for something new, and like you say, something that I don't know what it's going to be, but when it comes out, we're all going to be like, wow, this is what we all needed.
No, absolutely. I was listening to a podcast today, and they were saying, someone kind of wrote in who was kind of smarter than me, because they said a great genre for PlayStation VR, point and click adventure. Imagine a point and click adventure where you could you're maybe if you've got the PlayStation VR and you've got the Move controllers, and you just kind of reach forward and click what you're looking at. You imagine Walking Dead or Telltale, where you have those little circles, and then you kind of walk over to there, and then you touch in that space, but you have your VR headset. Amazing. That's something I was just like, why haven't I thought about that? And that would just be genius.
Yeah, it's perfect fit, isn't it?
It really is. All of these kind of walk-em-up games that they have now, everybody's gone to the rapture. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, where I'd love them to just release a patch that puts that into PlayStation VR. I'd play it again just to experience.
That's going to hit as soon as, I think every time there's a first-person game, there's going to be a small patch to come around to make it compatible if possible. Because it would be such a selling point when you always get new pieces of hardware, whether it's the Wii U, what was the Ultra motion controller, the tack-on bit that you put on the bottom of the Wiimote, when that came out, when Kinect came out, when the Wii U balance board came out, they're just after exclusives to try and push this stuff. So you can imagine that everyone on the platform is going to be going, how can we put this in effectively to try and get this wave of want for games.
Yeah, I had an idea this week about VR, about an application for it, and it's a bit weird, and I won't say too much about it because I'm thinking I might write an article about it, just to so I kind of cover the bases of what I'm trying to get across with it. It's a bit weird, as I say, but I was thinking that a company could be set up that would basically, somebody could be ill and find out that they've only got so long left to live or something like that, and they want to be preserved, or their family are going to miss them or something like that, and then so this company provides a service where they basically film them, and you answer loads of questions about your family. So it's like, because I know people that have lost family and they wonder about the family before it, but they've got no one to ask. And things like that. It's like, what happened with this guy? What happened with that guy? And things like that. So you'd go into the studio or something and they'd film you. And you would be like, you'd create this list of stuff that you want to be preserved, okay? And you'd be preserved in all time in VR for your family in this way. And then, so people, you'd say, it'd be like, well, what was your granddad's name? What was his father's name? Things like that. So a bit family tree-ish. What did you like to eat? What was your favourite? Just all sorts of questions.
To be honest, I thought that was going down a quite macabre route to begin with, but it came back. But this, my wife works in museums, and they say that this is a fantastic area to exploit for just trying to document history itself. Because, she works in Coventry, and obviously with things like the Blitz that flattened the city, that's becoming further and further away in history, and the amount of people that clearly remember it are diminishing. And so they're trained. They have people who are specially trained just to go out and not just interview people, but try and extract the necessary information so that it's not just facts. Like, give us a story, give us a colour, and you can just almost like coax out this really fascinating tale. So I can imagine like the two combined. Imagine if you were talking to someone who had to suffer through the World War, the Blitz in Coventry, and you're there with your VR helmet on, sat in an Anderson shelter while they regale you with the stories of what it was like. That would be completely immersive. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and they've got different responses in there so that you're free to interact with real questions, and they've got the answers there, and like surprised looks or different mannerisms. Depending on what you ask. So it's not just sitting there and just listening, even though that would be great on its own, but you could actually interact as long as enough has been recorded. And it's a bit like, yeah, you're right, it is a bit macabre and a bit depressing, but people that wanted to could, if they wanted to, or if their family wanted it, they could be preserved forever. And famous people in history could be. You could chat with the Queen in VR, or whoever it is, any famous person, or any person that you're interested in, could go and have this recorded. And I sort of thought a bit like, like Superman. He goes into the Fortress of Solitude, and he can just chat with Jor-El, and it'd be a bit like that. But for anybody that's gone through the process of recording themselves, and like you say, famous people in history, all sorts of things. People guiding you around the trenches as well. They could actually, as they're talking, they could be like walking around the trenches, for instance, in World War One and things like that. It's the applications for it are just stagger me. So yeah, bit depressing there.
No, it was like a pause for thought. I thought it was just like, that's really interesting. James, next one with you.
Yes, it's not quite the happy-go-lucky story, I think, that could follow that. Instead, Konami helping make a bionic arm for an MGS fan. So this is something again that captured my imagination when I was flicking through the headlines this week, and I didn't realise they existed, but there is a prosthetic artist called Sophie de Oliveira Barata. I hope I pronounced that right.
Well done.
And she and a team of engineering experts basically work on creating bespoke artificial limbs for people, and she's been doing this for years. And if you look at the websites that we'll put in the notes, it's called the Alternative Limb Project. She has a mission statement that is not just to create functional replacement limbs for people who have lost them through all manner of reasons, but to actually make a statement. She basically goes out and says she wants to not make people stare in curiosity or just like, oh, I wonder what happened, but to stare at something that is beautiful in that sense. And she has created some ridiculously fantastic items. There are ones that range from bejeweled calves and shins that are just covered in gems and jewels. There's one that's got a speaker in it that looks like you can almost plug your iPod in, which I guess is a bit more jovial. There's one that looks very steampunky, and it all has like pistons and what have you. Right up to slightly more avant-garde stuff where there's an artificial limb of a person who owns snakes, and they have snakes literally in the limb itself, and it looks an amazing party piece. So this all comes through the fact that an MGS fan has contacted Sophie and the team, and they're now working with Konami to try and recreate the bionic arm that Snake has in Metal Gear Solid 5 for him. The chap's called James Young. He's 25, and he lost an arm and a leg in an incident on London's Dockland Railway. But they're now working with the developers to try and create as close a a functioning snake's arm as possible, which I think is incredible. You could say it's not a publicity opportunity, because if you look at the blog that James and Sophie have set up, there is the mention of the game Metal Gear Solid and Konami in a very passing fashion, so it's not a big attention drawing item. But I just think it's cool, the fact that we have all these superhuman limbs and things like this, and in Deus Ex, and now finally we're going to get someone on the streets to have something as kick-ass as one of those.
That's fantastic. God, between the two of you, you'll have me crying. There'll be people listening to this podcast sobbing on the train. No, I mean,
somber moments.
Exactly. Let's get about this. Is just fantastic. I mean, I did see, I think about 6 months ago, there was a young kid, and he loved Avengers, and Robert Downey Jr., in very much as Tony Stark, turned up with a bravado of Tony Stark, and they gave him an Iron Man arm with a light in the palm and stuff like that. And that was fantastic. I'm going to have a look at this website, because they sound incredible.
Yeah, I found an article on The Guardian from a couple of years ago where they went to a studio and they described it as something from Blade Runner. So I can just imagine just like spare limbs and all sorts of bits and pieces around. But it's worth a look. Honestly, if you click just one of the show notes today, have a look at that. They're fascinating.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Very interesting. Amazing pieces of work, isn't it? Yeah, definitely worth a look.
Are you looking already, Daz? Are you?
I just had a look, man, and they're quite amazing. Yeah,
fantastic. Next piece of news is with you.
Yeah, this one is that apparently, according to some users on Reddit, Microsoft is giving away a free month of EA access to select Xbox Live members. So it looks like Microsoft wants to let as many people as possible play Star Wars Battlefront when it comes live. And there's a picture on NeoGAF of the actual message from Microsoft. It looks completely legitimate, and basically it's from Xbox Live, and if you're lucky enough to get one of these, it says, to celebrate the greatest lineup in history, in Xbox history, we are giving you a code for 1 month of EA access that allows you to play the Star Wars Battlefront game for a limited time before it's released. Enjoy.
Wow. Cool.
So check your messages, listeners. Maybe you're going to get one of those, and that's a
heading to
Xbox.com
right now.
Yeah, I'm going to my smart glass app right now. I mean, it's quite interesting. Before we started recording, before I shut Twitter down, I did notice that a friend of the show, Major Nelson, he was tweeting lots of codes for early access to EA or access to EA access, and then obviously you could then buy Star Wars Battlefront 10% off, and you get it. I think it starts tomorrow.
Wow!
So you're playing Battlefront like a whole weekend before anybody else.
Yeah, and then we go on and get our asses kicked and we wonder why.
Well, exactly. That's why I'm over on PlayStation, because there's no such thing as EA access over there. So
yeah.
But saying that, it's quite interesting, because my brother, who's just bought an Xbox, he was like, "Oh, that Star Wars game looks really good." And then I was speaking to my other brother in Canada, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to buy an Xbox for the weekend because I want to play Star Wars." So it looks like I might have to buy 2 copies at this rate. so there's me at the start of the show going, "I'm going to get my ass handed to me on a weekly basis," and now I'm going to have to buy 2 copies.
Wow, double. Double the kicking.
Exactly, it's like, you're welcome, EA. So yeah.
It would be interesting. You might find you're better on one than the other. So that would be quite interesting, with a different controller maybe or something.
Yeah, well, my Elite controller didn't make me better at Halo, so that's just a farce, isn't it?
Yeah, send it back. Send it back and say, this is the Elite controller, I'm rubbish at Halo, it's the controller's fault, I want my money back.
It didn't work. I was even thinking about, when we were playing online, I was thinking about swapping the little knobs over to the taller ones.
Just to see if that was the problem.
Yeah, to see if that was the problem. I even shut down the thing to make the shooting quicker, because you could do that on the controller. That didn't work. And then the last piece of news is with me. Just a quick one that I noticed was announced today. Tomorrow, so this is Thursday the 12th of November, Nintendo are going to do a Nintendo Direct. So this is the first one since Miyamoto passed away. Miyamoto hasn't passed away. Sorry, my paracetamols are running out. So Iwata passed away. So this is the first one. So they're going to do a Nintendo Direct. And What do you think? What do you think's going to be they're going to tout?
I hope they I forget. Oh, I do apologise. I forget the name of Iwata's replacement. But I hope they get him in front of the camera, because I saw a lot of initial concerns about how he might not be as outgoing or how he might not want to front it as much. And to be honest, I just want him to be himself. I think that if everyone can just get to see him, the sooner the better, then I think it should hopefully allay fears. Because if he hides away from the camera, if he shies away, then I think people will have more worries. Whereas if this is his first outing, let's get him in front of the camera, let's let him say hi, let him meet the fans, as it were. Hopefully that's going to smooth things over.
Yes.
I don't know, because his name's Tatsumi Kimishima. And I don't know, because I think when it was first announced, it sort of said he's more of a business guy and more of a behind-the-scenes guy, and they promoted, or whatever it is, changed the role of Miyamoto to sort of, is he like creative director or something? So maybe they'd push him in front of the camera. Would you not think that would be a wiser move? Or maybe
to be honest, even if it's a case of him stepping in front and going, hi, and then just an introduction going, hi, I'm new to the scene, you may remember me from such games as, and just almost just make himself known and allow that transition to happen, because I think Iwata set such a high benchmark of what was expected of a company head that I think it's almost unfair for us to think he could follow it in such a manner.
The expectation
was I think if he started it with a Luigi hat, I think that's going to probably be, he can't be Iwata, he that guy was a one-off, he needs to, like you say, he needs to just be himself. But it would be good to, even at the end, to say, look forward to us next year, wink, and then just to show maybe some kind of playful side of it. I mean, for me, I'm hoping maybe that we get more of, we're not going to get anything about NX, because they have said that they're not saying anything. It's too early for that. But maybe Twilight Princess. There was that leak, wasn't there? That on the store there was a Twilight Princess leak for a HD edition of that.
I'm in mixed minds of that, because I always prefer something new. But I guess if it's from the same team that did Wind Waker remade, hopefully, not saying it's the same engine or so, but if that's their function, they're there to try and zhuzh up older games. Fair play to them. I think they should carry on going through the catalogue, because I think Twilight Princess was one of these weird ones, wasn't it? It was the end of the GameCube, it was the start of the Wii, and so I think almost a lot of people missed it, or maybe didn't appreciate it as much as it probably deserved at the time. So whereas Wind Waker had this massive following, which was truly deserved, maybe this is a second chance for Twilight Princess.
Absolutely, it definitely is for me. I got fed up with the waggling for Twilight Princess, so I think I only played like the first couple of hours of the game, and then I kind of gave up. So for me to have a Twilight Princess that I can play with that Pro controller on my Wii U, I would definitely buy that. I don't know where I'd fit it in because there's so many games, but it's definitely something that, because I think I tried to play. I think I tried to play it on the GameCube, but it was really really poor quality. It just looked very hazy.
You had to have an RF cable back then.
Yeah, it really did. It was quite a struggle. So then I think I traded that one in for the Wii U version, and then I just got fed up with the waggling.
Yeah, for me, I'd rather they went even further back, to be honest, to make me, to sort of get me excited again. I was having to think about what would get me excited to buy a game for the Wii U in that interim period before the NX comes out, and I was thinking it'd be great if they announced something like Pilot Wings.
Oh yes.
I think that would work really well on the Wii U. They could actually utilise the second screen really well for that as well, I think. So it's the Pilot Wings. I was just having a memory lane trip, really. Wave Race would be really nice.
Oh, I loved Wave Race so much.
Yeah, they might be holding these back for the NX, but I was just thinking, I've got a little list. They could pick one. Pilot Wings, Wave Race, F-Zero. We're all waiting for F-Zero. That'll probably be an NX game, I'd imagine. Paper Mario. I think that'd be absolute demon on the Wii U. Sin and Punishment would be fun as well. Advance Wars. So that was my Nintendo One list, that they could announce any of them and I'd be really excited and happy. And I thought of a great game from PS2 that I'd love it if they brought out. Probably can't, but Guitar-oo Man, if you ever played that.
That'd be a weird crossover, but I'd go with that. Yeah.
And that just you could follow the track. I don't know if you ever played Guitar-oo Man, but you could maybe use your finger on the Wii U screen and it'd be just really cool. I'm actually thinking about getting. Since thinking about that, I might get my PS2 out to play it. There's no other way I can play
I wonder if that transition to the NX as well means that something like Twilight Princess is more likely, because I can't see them announcing too many new games in this next 6 months until they actually announce the NX. Because of that very reason, they'll be holding them back. So a fan favourite like a remade Zelda should be spot on.
Well, at some point there is that Zelda game that was supposed to come out for the Wii U, wasn't there? You know, we've seen it playing on a Wii U potentially, and that was supposed to come out. But I would prefer if they didn't do another Twilight Princess where it was available on both consoles. I prefer if they just went, do you know what, we've had a think, that Zelda game is going to be coming out on the NX. The NX is coming out next year, and what we're going to do is give you Twilight Princess HD instead.
Well, it would just do the Zelda game far more justice, because I think was it Witcher 3 was the first big game, I think, of this generation that said, we're not going to do it for 360 and PS3. We're just going to do it for PS4 and Xbox One, because that's how you, the gamer, are going to get the most from this. We're not going to try and split the platforms. We're just going to push on with a newer one so we can give you the biggest, best world we can. And I hope they do that with any Zelda that they have planned, because if they can move it to the new console, you just hope that opens up more possibilities.
Absolutely. Similar to Fallout, a Zelda game comes every 5 years, so let's make that one a really good one. Let's make it the best it can be, rather than kind of it has to have one foot in an old dying, it's not nice to say it, but the Wii U is a dying platform. Right, let's just focus on the NX, which is really going to hopefully knock everyone's socks off.
Yeah, you can never predict Nintendo.
Predict Nintendo. No. Next week we'll be going, what the hell was that direct about?
All he did was talk about Star Fox and then he went. What's that about?
Superb. And with that, that's about it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Big thanks for James for joining us yet again. It's been awesome. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod, and on YouTube. And you can also find us on the PS4 community, which is Gamers of Lost Spark. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at DazWhittam on Twitter.
James, where can people catch up with you?
I am Big Sheep, all one word, on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation and Nintendo. Nice uniform name there.
Oh, every time, you two. And for me, it's Chessman on Xbox Live. It's PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and I'm Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That email address is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. So that's about it. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, James.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Welcome to game.